Thursday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. And it is the opening instalment of Spreyton Cider Thursday Night Motorsport for the new term. Night 4 of week 1 of term 4 in 2024. And first up, we're picking up where we left off last night, returning to Willow Springs in California. And the first round of the new GT4 Challenge campaign. Good evening, everybody. Zach Caben, Daniel Carrier-Sar, Josh Zuno, Daniel Benefield here with you for Thursday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. All coming to you live and free, and we are excited about another big 3 hours ahead. We did some overtime on Monday night with 90 minutes around the Circuit de la Sarthe. Now tonight, we notch off one of the great underrated venues as far as I'm concerned, Willow Springs, for the return of GT4 to an entree slot, and of course after a couple of seasons in the main course slot on a Wednesday night, it slots back into Thursday Night Motorsport. And then of course we're still petitioning for Formula V to come back too, by the way, folks, but there's just not room in the schedule at the moment, which is heartbreaking really. But then of course the mainstay of Thursday Night Motorsport for the longest time, except when we gave it a break during the year, the Porsche Cup will kick us off from Sebring International Raceway in Florida. Yep. It's an American double tonight. We start on the West Coast. We head back to the East Coast. 60 minutes for the Porsches there. So we get a couple of longer races out of the road this week. But first up, I'm happy to report for GT4, it is sprint racing. Now, you're going to notice a point of difference to the broadcast tonight, which we're excited about. Keep an eye out for that. I'm going to see if anyone picks it up at home without mentioning it. The new commonality in here, ladies and gentlemen, is the introduction of a new voice to the broadcast team, and a standout performance actually behind the wheel on Monday night as well for one of our new members in Daniel Benefield. He's going to join me in commentary for Thursday Night Motorsport this term, mate. Good evening to you. Welcome. I mean, if you're not going to be out on the track, this is the next best place to be, I guess.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, a very something I haven't done in a very long time is commentary, so very excited to get back into it. And an interesting track that I haven't covered very much at all, to start us off in Willow Springs.
Indeed, there it is on the screen for you, ladies and gentlemen. 31 degrees, the ambient, 33 on track. We're at about 4:45 in the afternoon, noting that the Americans are still in daylight saving time, and the progressive and civilised parts of Australia are about to enter it. 19 km/h winds in a mostly northerly direction. That's very much a nor'wester, but north to northwester at 3:25. 31 degrees the ambient, 5% humidity, and no rain inside. As you can see, it's a picture perfect, crystal clear, blue sky, sunny sort of afternoon there on the west coast of America. Closing stages of this qualifying session, only 20 seconds ahead of us here, which gives us not enough time actually, folks. We'll go through the schedule for the term ahead at the end of the night, because there's a lot of exciting circuits and races and formats coming your way for GT4 this term, and we're looking forward to that immensely. It is now the entree to what will be the main course Porsche Cup racing, on the back of LMP2 making the move to Monday night, on the back of LMP2 being brought in to replace Formula V, on the, etc. and so forth. There's been a lot of change term on term, but the Porsches remain the mainstay as far as the main offering is concerned, prime time Thursday night. But we do it without any football scores to bring you throughout the course of the term. Sean Lindsell, great to see him back on the grid. He's going to start alongside Sam Chapman on the front row for this first race. Adam Lavis, Lane Thoburn from the second, Nick Wood, Sam Muir the third, Brett Bradbury, Dale Sharp the fourth, Eduardo Zamora and John Merritt from row 5. 6 is Lewis Greathead and David Christensen. 7 is Gary Cousins and Aaron Russell. Top 14 separated by less than a second. And then Paul Wood just outside. Rodney Golan is there alongside him. There's a new name. There's another one in Fitzroy Beaumont, Phil King, Tim Watkins and Adam Richards. Last row of the grid is where you'll find Aidan Schultz potentially alongside Todd Suter. And I say potentially because when they don't post a qualifying time, it's either that they're yet to, they've not had enough time to get into the server and into the swing of things, or they've come in and not seen what they've liked and buggered off again. So we'll wait and see whether they take the grid or not. Of course, we haven't seen too much in the way of love for GT4 in recent times, in the way that GT3, as you know, Daniel, has got a new manufacturer now in the Corvette, the Chev. We've still got the mainstays here as far as GT4 are concerned. Mercedes, Porsche, BMW 1, 2 and 3. The McLaren of John Merritt there. But no love for the Aston in this server tonight.
No love for the Aston, and I'm surprised we're not seeing more BMWs, considering even though, yes, we still have a BMW, it is the newer model, the same as some some fans of Jimmy Broadbent would know quite a bit about.
Indeed. We're riding on board with our good mate Adam Lavis. There's Lane Thurburn alongside him. Cars lined up behind the safety car, getting ready for a rolling start. This is a nice little roller coaster of a circuit. There's no doubt about that. A lot of runoff area here. Top 10 invert for the second race. Race distances scheduled to be 12 and 19 laps respectively. And it will be an all-German engineering first 2, 3, 4 rows on this grid. John Merritt in the McLaren back there on row number 5 alongside Eduardo Zamora. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Bimmers, 2 Porsches, 2 Mercs and a McLaren in the top 10, despite the fact that there's been so much love for the McLaren, the new McLaren in GT3. There is just one of them on this GT4 grid. We're ready to go sprint racing for the first time this term on the platforms of the GSRC as far as GT4 are concerned. Back on a Thursday night as a lead into the Porsches. It's all about GT and sports car racing just the way we like it. We are set to rock and roll from Willow Springs. Barney's got the green flag in there. Nice to see him not taking the night off. There it goes. It waves and we're racing. Clean start, Sean Lindsell. Lavis got the jump on Chapman. Lavis to second down on the inside aboard the Bimmer this season. Chapo will hang it tough around the outside and will look to fight back on the inside on the run up to turn 2, but he's not close enough to do so. Good dive down the outside from Lavis to chop across and cover off the advance on Chapman. Toburn, Wood, Muir, Sharp and Merritt up 2 spots, make up the top 8 in the early stages. Oh, trouble at the back. 2 cars off in the background. Fitzroy Beaumont and Gary Cousins. And just confirmation as well, Todd Suter and Aidan Schultz not on the grid. Pros and cons to that, Daniel, as we go to you. Pro, there's a lot of runoff area here, so minimal damage to the race car. But the con is you're basically fighting for the minors for the balance of the night. You get a second chance a little bit later on, but those guys will start deep in the pack.
Also dirt. It's a lot of runoff, but it's dirt, so hard to get back on. Good start by Lavis getting jump. Chapo really sleeping off the start there, to be honest, into 1. As it looks like we're looking at Sam Muir. Is this on the inside of Lane's third one?
Trying to make a move, couldn't get it done. But then opened up the door. Oh, trouble. That was Sam Muir.
Sam Muir.
We were riding with him and looking out the back towards him. He came to the inside. Tried to go by Thoburn. In fact, it might have even been Nick Wood. Yes, it was. And he couldn't get the job done. And he's thrown the caution to the wind there. The rear stepped out and he couldn't catch it. Muir joins Cousins and Suter at the back of the field. Cousins has come to pit lane. There's the live shot down bottom of the screen. There's the replay of what happened to Sam Muir.
It looks like he just slightly caught the curb on the inside and he kind of bounced off actually Lane's airborne by the looks of it. Luckily just a small spin though, so yes, Sam Muir's at the back, but he's not far off the back at least.
This was what happened to Gary Cousins. Uh-oh. Oh, no. He didn't see Suter. And then he's ridden into the banking. So that's why Cousins has come to pit lane, because he sustained a fair bit of damage with that. If you go far enough, yes, if you go far enough off the circuit, you do have to see that there is catch fencing and parameters that you will eventually catch and bump into. But that was unlucky for Cousins, the way in which it came about. Suter was on his outside, just didn't see him.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird one, and unfortunately for Gary Cousins, he's chosen to go up in the one small area where there isn't a lot of runoff.
That's it.
And found the fence. It looks like Chapo's kind of settling into a rhythm here in behind Lavis. A bit too much curve maybe that's through there for 1, but he's coming under pressure now from Nick Wood.
So already we've seen action featuring the top three in the championship last term. So Adam Lavis was third. Sam Chapman was second. Those guys are still in podium positions at the moment. Sean Lindsell's the unknown entity here. We know what he brings to the table when he's behind the wheel of a supercar. Well, it'll be interesting to see what he does in GT4. But unfortunately, Sam Muir, there he is, down the order in 18th position. You've got Dale Sharp on screen at the moment, who's a good little steerer as well, and back in his pride of joy, the trusty BMW. Muir, the defending champion, already with an invoice to pay tonight, and that's going to make the second race all the more important to him. We know these guys have drop rounds to play with, but you don't want to be burning them in round one, do you?
No, Sam Muir's goal right now for this race will be to get to chance, which will put him on pole for race 2. So that's his goal now to round out this race. As John Merritt, a good start, up 3 already from 10th in the sole McLaren we have in the field, and really putting the pressure on Dale Sharp now.
1:19.469 for Nick Wood, the fastest lap of the race thus far. We get across the line once more on the run down to turn 1. Hello, Zach Ratway White tuning in. There is a fine young talent actually tuning in to the broadcast. We've seen what he can do in the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series. Hard Charger Award on 2 different occasions that I'm aware of already this season, and that's just been in the Enduros. He's had a good run there. That championship continues in a couple of weeks. We wish him the best of luck. We do love our rugby league, mate. Sunday, grand final day. And all live on the 9 Network from 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And go the mighty Storm on that note. I need to mention off the top 2, folks. You might notice that things are a little bit echoey at my end tonight. That's because I'm on the road this weekend, broadcasting to you live tonight from Taree, from Oldbar, actually, on the outskirts of Taree. Big thanks to my friend Talia for accommodating me for a couple of nights so I could come down and catch up with her before turning our attention to the Carter New South Wales State Championship meeting at the Manning Valley Kart Club this weekend. So if it sounds a little bit different tonight, that's only because we are taking over, gate crashing, and just making ourselves at home in somebody else's house to make sure that the broadcast goes to air. Now, down the main straight, we pull out all stops here on the platforms of the GSRC. I've broadcast from the Criterion Hotel in Warwick before for this club, so we love taking the broadcast on location when we have to. There is Sam Muir beginning the charge back through the field, so he's already accounted for Adam Richardson, now Tim Watkins as well. We did have 21 starters, so Todd Suter was a non-starter, so too Aiden Schultz. So my apologies, I didn't actually catch who it was that went off the road with Gary Cousins. Might have been hard to say, actually. Might have been no, Fitzroy Beaumont. Okay, thank you. So Fitzroy, thank you, Daniel Correa for getting in the ear on that one, because I just didn't catch the second car. It was the Vermilion Motorsport Mercedes, which is unfortunate for him, but obviously given that as we watch Muir make inroads here at warp speed, have a look at that. Look at that for commitment. Round the outside of Phil King. Thanks for coming. Now sets himself up for the run down the main straight. King wants to force the issue. Oh no, Beaumont's bolted off the road. Hard work undone. I was just about to say, Gary Cousins is down 7 spots from 13th on the grid to 20th. We know that. Beaumont is now showing -1. So there's a couple of missing pieces to the puzzle there that don't paint the clearest picture on how he ran off the circuit with Cousins. Let's just wait, and if we can get a replay of that a little bit later on, that'd be great. But in the meantime, here's Aaron Russell getting a helping hand from Paul Wood.
Yeah, Paul Wood just sticking his nose in a gap that was always going to disappear, really. Aaron Russell did seem to struggle off turn 3. It looks like he had a bad exit, but yeah, it's not really somewhere you want to be putting your nose coming into this section of racetrack.
And that's the interesting thing too, Daniel, isn't it? Like, this racetrack, it's got a lot of, infrastructure. Like, there's a lot of real estate to play with. There's a lot of room, as evidenced by the amount of runoff area, but there are some tight corners. So even though there are overtaking opportunities, you've got to pick and choose them wisely.
It's a track that actually has three very defined sectors in a way. That you got the kind of the two flying corners, the really banked corners at the start of the lap. Then you got that tight middle sector, and then the big two right-hand sweepers at the end of the lap. Which, look, I wouldn't want to be a left front tyre here, but to be honest,
Tim Watkins is off the road as well, boys. Continue on, mate.
I was going to say, Chapo, having a little look at Adam Lavis here. So, Chapo was absolutely sleeping on the start, but he's really all over the back of Lavis right now.
Indeed he is. So, as we have a look at the top four there, separated by a coat of varnish, and they've got good distance between themselves and the rest of the pack, don't they? So, top two have bolted. In terms of Lindsell, Lavis, Chapman, Wood, they've all gone. Dale Sharp has got John Merritt for company, but they're 3 seconds off the pace. Lewis Greathead has got Eduardo Zamora with him. Brett Bradbury and David Christensen are arguing over 9th and 10th, and that's the invert pole. They need to be careful, those guys, not to muck that up, if I can say that, because what's at stake there is the invert pole position.
Well,
and if they muck it up, they've got 3 second buffer to Lane Thoburn, but if they muck it up, that evaporates, and Lane will come in, who's already down 7 spots as well, and where he started, and we've already seen the incident involving him. Have a look at this around the outside. Nick Wood, Sam Chapman to the inside, and gone! Chapman's looped it! Porsche's doing Porsche things on a Thursday night! And Chapman's out of the fight for the top 3.
I wonder if these front-running Porsches are running quite low wing, because that's the second time we've seen a Porsche go around on itself in a medium-speed corner. Muir at the start of the race, Chapman now. The positive note for Chapman, as we look at the replay here, it's just unsettled on the bumps, and it's just rotated on him. It's just not got the grip. But Chapman... The good news for Chapman is that he's rejoined in 10th.
Yeah, but the bad news is he's got Lane Thoburn within striking distance. About a second separates them. So all of a sudden, what I was talking about with regards to David Christensen and Brett Bradbury is now more prevalent to Sam Chapman and Lane Thoburn, because Thoburn had 3 seconds to catch those guys, but now he's got Chapman within his sights. So all of a sudden, that cutoff is all of a sudden, you know, a talking point once more. You're either in or you're out. So if you're in, it's the invert pole position. If you're out, you got traffic to contend with in the first couple of laps of the race start for 19 laps. The feature will be tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And just like that, we're on lap 9. Where the hell's that time gone? That's raced on by. And in the meantime, Sean Lindsell and Adam Lavis have got themselves a little bit of breathing space on Nick Wood, despite the fact that Wood has the fastest lap of the race.
It's quite a quick lap. It's an 80-second lap here, so we are absolutely running through the laps. Going back to the battle for invert pole, though, in reality, we now have 3 quick cars. So we've got Sam Chapman, Lane Thoburn, and Sam Muir.
Yep.
And there's a possibility only one of them will get up the front in the reverse grid now.
Yep. And I mean, put a line for you through Muir, I think, at this point, because he's still 3.3 behind Rodney Gollan, who's 2.7 behind Thoburn. Thoburn will be on Chapo's clacker by the end of this race. It's lap 9. There's another 3 to go. Watch Chapman and Thoburn with interest. Watch Lavis have a crack at Sean Lindsell if he can get close enough as well. Have a look at the amount of dirt and grass they flirt with coming around onto the main straight. Lavis all over the back of Lindsell at the moment. They've said goodbye to Nick Wood. They've lost him in the rear view. Dale Sharp's there contending with John Merritt for 4th and 5th. And either it's testament to how comfortable Sharpie is with that BMW, with that GT4, or maybe Johnny Merritt's having a tough time of it in the McLaren, because with no disrespect to Sharpie, normally Merritt's one of those guys you'd be seeing up with Sean Lindsell and Adam Lavis by now.
Well, we were saying towards the start in the opening laps that Merritt was already up to 7th and on the back of Dale Sharp, and we come back, and now we're about 3 laps on the end, and he's still in the same situation. So maybe he's struggling just with McLaren a bit around here. It is a hard track to pass as well. very easy to get understeer. We saw Adam Lavis get a bit of understeer in the last corner last lap, up behind Sean Linsell. So maybe Merritt just struggling to get a run on the BMW here.
Indeed. And now, Josh Zuno's tuning in more ways than one tonight. He's here in our broadcast booth, and he's also commenting on our YouTube thread as well. So this is BMW versus McLaren for fourth. Run down the main straight to complete lap 10. 5/6 race distance now for you, ladies and gentlemen. Final 2 laps. White flag in the air next time by as John Merritt... oh, actually, look at this. Look who's joining them. Look who's there for the fight for the checkered flag. It's Lewis Greathead for Vermilion Esports. Very nicely done. Merritt tries to send it around the outside on Sharp. Not just yet, says Dale Sharp. I'm not letting you buy that easy, Johnny. And they've got to now be mindful of Greathead as well. So we've got a 3-way fight. We've got a McLaren, we've got a BMW, we've got a Merc. In the 4th, 5th, 6th battle here, Merritt bobbled it a little bit, going into the left-hander. And they hug the inside on the right. Have a look at Greathead. He's just trying to distract Merritt in any way he can. And Merritt will already be aware of his presence. He'll already be aware that he's been caught. Now he's got pressure in front and behind in the fight for 4th place. Zamora's holding on to 7th. He's got Bradbury and Christensen closing in on him. Thoburn has got by Chapman. Thoburn has got by Chapman. So Thoburn jumps up into the invert, and Chapman is on the precipice, on the outer right now. So it's always fraught with danger, that 10th and 11th. You're either in or you're out, and at the moment Chapo is on the outer looking in thinking, oh geez, I've got some work to do in the next race, whereas Thoburn will be looking at the potential of clear air coming his way, a free kick if you like, and looking to at least redeem himself after spinning early in this race. White flag in the air, folks. Last lap board, and already some great battles unfolding here. Thoburn put it wide through turn 1, but Chapman wasn't able to capitalise on that. We'll keep an eye on them in just a moment. Look at Merritt all over Sharp, and Sharp, of course, trying to fend off both Merritt and Lewis Greathead here. This is for 4th, 5th and 6th. What a great 3-way fight to bring the curtain down on the opening instalment of GT4 for the new term. Our 4th and final one, ladies and gentlemen, of 2024. Sharpie doing a nice job holding on to 4th. BMW's 2-3-4 at the moment. Lavis within half a second of Linsell, hasn't been able to catch him. Nick Woods had a very lonely run. These guys are fighting over 4th. 3 different manufacturers. But BMW have got a strong presence in the top 10 here. 5 of them, in fact. But it's not enough to stop Mercedes prevailing with the opening race win of the new term. Last turn, checkered flag. Well done, Sean Linsell. Brilliantly done at Willow Springs. 2nd to Adam Lavis. 3rd to Nick Wood. Sharpie holds off Merritt and Greathead. Oh, have a look at this. Christensen and Bradbury side by side. Christensen went left, had to go back to the left, and oh, he wasn't able to get it done. He was trying to go right on Bradbury to our left, and he cut back in the opposite direction. Could not get there. Bradbury in 8th, Christensen 9th, and Chapo got back by Thoburn. Chapo got back by Thoburn. Thoburn misses the cut. Muir got back to 12th and got by Rodney Gollan. So Thoburn and Muir, as Daniel Benefield quite rightly pointed out, 2 hotshots that are going to be coming from row 6.
They are indeed. We'll have to see how that happened. We knew that Thoburn was right in turn 1 and Chapo was all over him. Obviously the pass has happened somewhere in the last lap, so snatch 10th place, but more importantly, snatch pole position for race 2.
Oh boy, what about that? Chapman, that's a lucky break for him. Is it spare for Thoburn? Here was the moment. Talk us through it, Daniel.
It looks like
the elbows around.
I'd like to see it. Say it's actually happened coming out the exit of the previous before the sweeper coming out of the tight section, because at the start of that replay, Chapman's already alongside Thoburn. So
and what about Bradbury in front of them, shutting the door, slamming it shut on David Christensen?
Classic side of page. I was saying during the race how this track has three very distinct sectors. It seems, I was looking at the gap between Linsell and Nick Wood at the front as well, and it seemed like the gap would change by like 8/10 over a lap just because the cars have different streaks in different areas of the race. So maybe John Merritt was struggling to get past Sharpie because the McLaren is best in that middle sector where you just cannot make an overtake.
Extraordinary stuff. We've got a 2-minute warm-up ahead of us, folks, of which already 45 seconds of that has been burnt. So probably a good opportunity for us at this point to say a big thank you to the people that make it possible for us to do what we do here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club each and every term. Of course, Spreyton Cider, sponsoring the Porsche Cup one more season. Waste Options, massive thanks to them. To M-Wave Australia as well. To merch.tgsrci.com. To Flash Graphics. And to JJZ Constructions as well as Orbic Australia. A huge thanks to all of those businesses and companies for getting around the platforms of the GSRC in Term 4 of 2024. There is John Merritt trying to just get a little bit more comfort with the Merc and get, with the McLaren rather, and get a little bit more acquainted and comfortable with the Willow Springs layout here. Very good around here in the Formula V is Johnny Merritt. Very good, in fact, in any race car we put him behind the wheel of. Porsche Cup coming up for you at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, ladies and gentlemen. Want to alert your attention to a couple of things here. One, tonight is the last Thursday night motorsport in which we are in this broadcast slot. Next week, everything goes to AEDT, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So it'll be all times will be relative to that. So for Northern Territory and Western Australia, it'll be an hour earlier. For Queensland, it'll be 112 years and 1 hour earlier. So it'll be about 6:35 that we're on air for Queensland. Next week, 7:35 for everybody else. So make note of that. Same applies to Monday night. Of course, daylight saving kicking in on Sunday morning. Sam Chapman, David Christensen, the front row for this second race. Brett Bradbury, Eduardo Zamora, Lewis Gradehead, John Merritt, Dale Sharp, Nick Wood, Adam Lavis and Sean Lindsell, the first 5 rows on the grid. The row to watch will be rows 6, Lane Thurburn and Sam Muir, Rodney Gollan and Paul Wood, the 7th row, 8th row, Aaron Russell, Phil King, Fitzroy Beaumont, Tim Watkins from 9, Gary Cousins and Adam Richards from 10. So, again, it was interesting, wasn't it? We never got a chance to come back to it. The Gary Cousins incident and whether he's jumping in. Yes, he is on the grid now. He's just taken his place. So we're all in position. We're all present and correct, and we're ready to rock and roll. They'll probably get this one underway very quickly. Chapman and Christensen the front right. What was interesting for mine was Dan Correa was in our ear saying that who Gary Cousins went off the road with was Fitzroy Beaumont. So Cousins has obviously had not a great start to be with Fitz. Either he's had a bad start or Fitzroy's had a blinder of a start because Gary started a lot further up the grid than Fitzroy did. So unfortunate for those guys to bite the dirt so early in the term, but right now everybody's got a second bite of the cherry, a chance for redemption. But with invert races comes drama because the top 10 are going to try and hustle and bustle their way through this field. So expect the elbows to be out. Daniel, quickly a tip.
Pit entry. Obviously there'll be a pit stop in this race, and pit entry just conveniently is pretty much on the racing line, so the drivers will need to be careful if the driver ahead of them is pitting in.
Yep. And who do you think wins this, mate?
Chapman from pole, I think.
Okay, all right. No pressure for Chapo or Christensen. So the Porsches have already been a problem tonight for a couple of drivers. We know that their rear end is tailing at the best of times. Let's hope it behaves itself for the next 27 minutes. They're off, they're racing. 19 laps ahead of us here, folks. The sprint feature is underway. Round 1 of the new GT4 Challenge season. Have a look at Bradbury and Christensen resuming their duel immediately. Christensen to the outside. Christensen wide trouble gone. 3 of them involved. Christensen straight across the dirt, straight across the road, and then straight back into the dirt again. They've gone everywhere off the restart. We'll be picking that one apart for the rest of the night, I'd imagine. Zamora, Christensen and Bradbury all involved. 0 to 0, more carnage. Merritt's gone round. Oh, jeez, Cousins has squeezed through that somehow. I don't know how. Nick Wood was also caught up in that one.
And Sharpie was around as well, but I think that was their own accident. I tell you what, who was the luckiest person on lap 1 was Lewis Greathead.
Yeah.
I can't remember which car went across the track, but Lewis Greathead is lucky to not be facing the wrong way right now.
And what about Sean Lindsell? Sean Lindsell up 7 spots and Sam Muir up 8. Adam Lavis up 4 spots. Paul Wood up 8 spots already. Action aplenty in the opening stages. Lane Thurburn up 3 spots. Fitzroy Beaumont up 8. And then Aaron Russell, Phil King, Gary Cousins, all beneficiaries of the carnage at the top end of town. Dale Sharp down 12 spots. Brett Bradbury 15. David Christensen 15. Eduardo Zamora 12. Nick Wood 7. John Merritt 7. All in the negatives. And now strategy becomes an even more important part of this game.
I know you said at the start, Zach, that the reverse grid races cause carnage. I didn't expect it to be in the first 500 metres.
No one did actually. Oh, more trouble. Jeez, that's bad. That's Thurburn and Golan coming together, and Golan's had a big one. He's on the tow rope and gone, and there will be a case to answer for there, I would imagine.
I think he got a bit spooked there by Fitzroy Beaumont coming up the inside.
Oh, Beaumont's gone as well. Oh, wow.
What did these guys drink? What did these guys drink at the 2-minute warm-up?
Did someone just come out and sprinkle oil on the circuit once the warm-up was on? What the hell is going on here? Carnage. It is ridiculous here at the Willow Springs circuit. This was off the replay at the start. That was the action there. Eduardo Zamora, Brett Bradbury, and David Christensen. Watch that. Oh, straight between Beaumont and Merritt. Did well not to run it into the fence at the other end of the circuit. That's ridiculous.
That's... Oh, Merritt as well, actually. So close to getting...
Yeah.
So these three...
Sharpie was separate. You're right.
But I think Sharpie goes around again on the exit.
Because...
Oh, he's helped.
He got some help. He either got some help from Sam Muir or Adam Lavis.
I think it was Adam Lavis.
We need another look at that. Can we go on board with Sharpie, please? Look out to the rear. And John Merritt, this will paint the picture of his incident. The McLaren doing Porsche things. And unfortunately,
Nick Wood absolutely nowhere to go.
Tried to swerve left, should have gone right. It's a case of what might have been. Adam Lavis, we ride on board with him. Watch Sam Muir, because he's going to be the one directly in the line with Sharpie there, who comes back onto the racetrack. Uh-oh. Oh, jeez. It's Adam. It's Adam that's got Sharpie. I thought that.
So there was actually... So I don't think it caused Adam Lavis to make contact with Sharpie, but there was a little bit of contact there between... between Sam Muir as well and Adam Lavis. That
Merritt's off the road again too, boys. Merritt's off the road again whilst we're watching replays. John's had another one. Outside the top 10 now goes John Merritt. Tim Watkins, this is what happened to him. Nick Wood's come to pit lane. Rodney Golan was there for the sake of a fast repair, but on the tow rope it's cost him 2 minutes. He rejoins a lap down. Tim Watkins, that was one of the minor incidents of the evening so far. All things considered, Nick Wood's come to pit lane, as I say. This was Fitzroy Beaumont. We did see this. Lining up the rears.
Just got in too hot. And gone in too hot, so he's tried to trail brake too much, and it's just too much for the rear tyres to handle.
Adam Richards now in a Benson and Hedges inspired sort of colour. Uh-oh. Climbs the embankment.
Is that a wheel failure?
That's a very good question.
Because it looked like the car just kept going left. But he's recovered, so maybe it wasn't a wheel failure. It just looked very wheel failure-y.
See, this is why we like sprint racing, ladies and gentlemen. No shortage of drama to talk about. Here it is again. Ooh.
No, he's... Yeah, that's a
the tyres were squealing, begging for mercy.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. Indeed it is. All right, let's... Sean Lindsell now. Oh.
Is that...
Sam Muir has just set the fastest of the race, 1 minute 19.308. Chapman continues to lead from Greathead. Lindsell. Lavis gets by Muir.
Yeah,
Lavis gets by Muir on the inside.
He did set the fastest lap the previous lap, but that lap he took a whole bunch of dirt on the exit of the last corner, did Sam Muir, and Adam Lavis has taken advantage.
So still 19 cars on the lead lap here. All 20 cars still in the race. And, oh, Muir pulls to... Jeez, is that a... Don't tell me that's a slowdown.
It might be, you know. Does that
the fact that he just zigged to the inside.
That looked like he was serving a slowdown. I did not know that.
Oh, jeez. Have a look at how good this how good's this race been so far. The Porsches have got a bit to live up to, let me tell you. But then again, Sebring brings the action, so we are looking forward to that one immensely. Yes, that's right, Trent Lavis. No Astons at all. Good evening to you. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to leave your comments here throughout the course of the night, folks, across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. It is great to have you on board. Wherever and however you're tuning into this race on what is the first week of the new term for Queensland, the first week of the school holidays for New South Wales, and of course the lead up to the long weekend for most of the country. It is great to have you on board for Thursday Night Motorsport, the first time in Term 4. Remember, Term 4 Thursday Night Motorsport wraps up on Thursday, the 5th of December. Gary Cousins to pit lane as the splash and dashes continue, and Dale Sharp as well. We ride on board with Lewis Greathead now. Chasing Sam Chapman. Sean Lindsell's not too far away. It's a three-horse fight at the top of the field. Adam Lavis has Sam Muir for company. So too Paul Wood, Phil King, Aaron Russell, and Lane Thoburn. Then Eduardo Zamora. David Christensen's got Fitzroy Beaumont and John Merritt for company, and I don't think either one of them would have been banking on that. And Brett Bradbury is the last of the running order at the moment, ahead of Adam Richards. Out of those that have not stopped, Tim Watkins is the 16th place car. We've had pit stops for Golan, Sharp, Cousins and Wood already. Nick Wood, the first of those, back on lap 3.
So Lewis Greathead all over the back of Sam Chapman, and that Merc, from my experience of racing GT4, is got great traction. The problem though for Greathead is that the Porsche is absolutely mega under brakes, so it'll be interesting to see how he tries to work the strategy and to try and get the jump on Chapo here.
Down the main straight. Porsche leads 2 Mercs and a Bimmer, but they're 2 seconds ahead of that Bimmer. So Mercedes winning the opening race through Sean Lindsell, but now the two of them, Greathead and Lindsell, the 2 Mercs, arguing over the race lead with Sam Chapman, who's done a nice job leading from the front. But can he maintain it and withstand the pressure? We wait and see. 8.5 minutes into what is a 27-minute feature race for you, folks. Greathead bowls it wide and kicks up some dust. That doesn't cost him second just yet. Lindsell tucks in behind. Caution the better part of Valor for the moment. It'll be interesting to see what sort of benefits, gains and losses and otherwise come of the Phil King's off the road right now. What comes of the pit stop sequence, Daniel, with regards to gains and losses, with regards to overcuts and undercuts. It's always a talking point in these races, even as short as this one is, 27 minutes.
It is. Merc seems to have the overall pace, but the Porsche is strong enough in the right places that they can't get past. So a great bit of sector actually from Chapo that lap. Brought out the gap to half a second over Greathead. Obviously that mistake from Greathead coming out of turn 8, Lance Elton.
So there's the first one. Hello, Grant Gill. Good to have you on board, mates. Tuning in, and actually while he's here, because I don't know if he's been tuning in at any point during the course of this week, Eduardo Zamora follows Sean Lindsell to pit lane, and Tim Watkins has been there for 1 minute and 18 already. So Tim's obviously had a moment to require some attention via the form of the tow rope. Good evening to Grant, because when you tune in and watch the intros at the start of the broadcast, that's the work of the great man Grant Gill, formerly a regular hands-on member of our broadcast team. Now the finishing touches with regards to both the intro and also the overhead Google Earth shots that you see at the start of each section of the broadcast, be they the entree or the main course. That's the work of Grant Gill, and he does it beautifully. So a big thanks to him for that. The new intro has come up a treat for the new term. There is Aaron Russell, one of the great stalwarts of Nova Castria Motorsport, and I'll be catching up with his brother Drew actually this weekend. He's one of the kingpins at Karting New South Wales, and also, of course, competing in the New South Wales Karting Championship meeting up here in Taree this weekend. So looking forward to that. But Aaron, of course, a good peddler as well, and scored a podium finish with his brother and his father at about the 6 hour last Easter in a Bimmer. But here he is tonight in a Merc. Down the main straight we go.
Holding on +8 this rate, obviously pit stops included in that, but he's giving Lane Thurborn a run for his money as teammates.
Well, yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to see if there's any form of team orders here at the moment. Russell to the outside. Interesting to note as well that they've got OG Gear as one of the sponsors. I think I saw the OG Gear logo. Oh, geez, on the side panels of these cars. And if that is the case, shout out to them as well, because they're involved in the Logitech Pro Series that I commentated recently with Scotty Rankin, a former member of the club team, and also former races and bike club, and a few others, Brenton Hobson, and one of your mates, Sean McNamara, was my connection into, my tie into that gig. And I got a message from them yesterday saying, OG Gear, want to send you something in the mail. We need your postal address. So a big thanks to OG Gear for whatever's coming my way. I'll be sure to post about it on socials when it arrives. In the meantime, some zigging and zagging going on here. This is exactly what we're waiting for. Lewis Great head to pit lane. Sam Chapman continues to lead. They're going long. Chapman, Lavis, Muir going long. This is the lap that gets us to the halfway mark of the race. It is 27 minutes or 19 laps, so it should be 19 laps. Willis Greathead to pit lane, the first of the leading trio to do that. Adam Richards has been on pit lane for 45, 46 seconds now, so we need to probably work out what's going on. Tim Watkins was on the lane for 2:11.97, so that's a slowdown. That's definitely a a tow job. A crash. Whatever has kept Adam Richards on pit lane for 47 seconds, my guess would be in the discrepancy coming onto pit lane. But he's just left after 47 seconds on the jacks, so that's unfortunate for him. Sean Lindsell, the best placed. Oh, no, actually, no, I stand corrected. Willis Greathead has leapfrogged Sean Lindsell in pit lane. Lindsell came in at the end of lap 7. Greathead the end of lap 9. Oh, geez. Lindsell's bolted off the road momentarily, but he's kept it on. Here's Dale Sharp. These guys are fighting over 14th, folks. Eduardo Zamora, Gary Cousins still came together. David Christensen in there as well. You've got to feel sorry for Zamora. He's the odd one out here. It's the Oz E-Races battle pack with Lame Sheep in there for good measure.
It is indeed, and a lot of these guys are recovering. Here's John Merritt. Has he just got by Fitzroy Beaumont?
He has. So Merritt to 6th. And Beaumont up 10 spots in 7th. You mentioned about Adam Lavis being up 10 spots at the moment, but it'll be interesting to see what that looks like on corrected order, given how much attrition there was on the opening lap. Russell, one of the beneficiaries that stayed out of carnage and trouble on the opening lap. And up 10 spots on where he started. And Lindsell now giving Greathead the battle up, the leg up. This is the hurry up for the run to the first corner. And this is the battle for the effective race lead. Lindsell to the outside. Oh, very nicely done from Greathead. Held at mid-corner, then got across to the inside. Now Lindsell throws it around the outside. He's still there. He's still there. Now he tucks back in. Could go either way, this fight. It's a good one.
Oh, he's wide. He looked like he was on the steering wide. Lindsell looking to... You know he's loving this, though, other than Sam Chapman.
100%.
But Adam Lavis and Sam Muir as well. Because if these guys keep battling like this, these guys are really battling for 4th because they're going to lose 2nd and 3rd.
Oh, have a look at it. How good. Oh, by the way, Grant, I know you're tuning in still. You would have been fully aware of the importance of bringing the bingo card with you this evening, mate. Just let me know how I go as you tick it off throughout the course of the night, please. First up on a Thursday night for the new season. Formerly a tradition of Thursday Night Motorsport was the bingo card. So I'll try and get onto that and remember what I can tick off and what I can't throughout the course of the next 2.5 hours. In the meantime, back onto the main straight. Greathead and Lindsell. This is a great scrap. In behind them at the moment is Paul Wood. Well, actually, Paul Wood's in this fight all of a sudden because he's already stopped as well. Whoa, they're gone! They're gone! That's an enormous stunt! And Paul Wood comes through and cleans up the pieces! Hugging the pit wall! They've locked horns and gone! Greathead and Lenzel, just when you thought you haven't seen everything tonight, we haven't had enough carnage, there it is, the big one. An enormous shunt. Have a look at this. Lenzel was forcing the issue and Greathead moved across. Lenzel probably out of bounds. By that point, he had 2 wheels in the dirt and chaos ensued.
I'd like to see the onboard from Lewis Greathead just to see if he kept the wheel straight. I know Lenzel has massive damage to the right front. It's done. He's turning left to go straight. Well, here's Greathead. He's straight, he's straight, he's straight, and then he's heading straight to a wall.
Yep. And that's both of them. You just nailed the point about Chapman, Lavis, and Muir absolutely loving that. Well, more so now.
Well, now it's extended to the entire field.
That is enormous. Here it is again, this time from Lenzel's standpoint. There it was, 2 wheels in the dirt. And there was just no coming back from that.
Yeah, there was never really a gap there for Lenzel to go into, really. The Greathead had it covered. He wasn't on the white line, but there definitely wasn't a car width throw to the inside of it.
Did they need to be that forceful on lap 12, though? Did they need to be that aggressive on lap 12 when there was another 7 to go? And how lucky was Paul Wood to pull it up and get through? Oh, geez. Well done, Paul Wood. That was great race awareness from him as Greathead and Lenzel hit pit road. And this will be an interesting stop to see. It's only 1.95 seconds for Greathead. Lenzel's a little bit longer than that, 3.85, and they're on their way home. Oh, Adam Lavis! He was going left and he saw Chapman go and he went hard right. Lavis stays out, goes a little bit longer, takes Muir with him. Lane Thoburn remains 4th, but that will be 3rd now. No, it's 4th still. He remains...
They're all in.
Excuse me, because they're all in. So Thoburn and Russell, there's a big gap there between Chapman, Thoburn and Russell. That's why it took me a while to pick them up. And wow.
So that from Adam Lavis there, that was a classic do what he doesn't do. Because I reckon Adam Lavis was planning to come in, but then Chapo came in. So I was like, well, I'm going the extra lap then.
Yep. And props to Grant Gill because we teased it at the start of the broadcast. I said we had something nice coming your way, folks, and I wanted everybody at home to let me know their thoughts on when they picked it up on Spotted what it was. Grant Gill's nailed it. Picture in picture. So, yes, when you're seeing the replays on the top of the screen, in the big picture, we've got the live footage continuing on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. You're right, Grant, we're on the way to the mega wall, mate. We're only about 4 screens shy of the mega wall, but that would require a lot more time, investment and infrastructure than what we've currently got at our disposal. But yes, picture in picture, courtesy of Daniel Corriasara and Josh Zuno tonight. Oh, off goes Sam Muir too, by the way. But that I think that was on the run into pit lane, so he might have just got away with it.
Yeah, that might have been
off the road.
That might have been on the exit of the last corner. He did drop time because he was only within 2 seconds of Adam Lavis. He's now 5 behind. The replay here will give us the answer. I'm going to guess he's probably gone in too hot, and he has, and he's just one right in the last corner on his in lap.
And then he stayed out there. He was like, no, that's it, I'm going in. And thankfully he got there before the yellow cone, so he'll be okay. So Sam Chapman.
Lavis has a penalty.
Oh,
he's still
no.
stationary.
That's the second one of the night. Adam Lavis's night is done. His charge comes unstuck. Oh, geez. Carnage action aplenty, and now stings in the tail in the form of pit lane penalties. Can you believe this? This might well go down as one of the races of the season, and it's round 1 for GT4.
We really have had everything tonight, haven't we, Zach?
Ticked all the boxes, mate. Absolutely ticked them all. And what a good night for picture in picture to debut as well, because we've had to rely upon the replay file quite a fair bit during this race. My goodness. Oh, off goes Adam Richards and Rodney Golan as well. They're off the road. Those two at separate points of the racetrack are off the road. Oh, geez.
So Sam Muir's little mistake on the in-lap has cost him not only a shot at Sam Chapman, but at the moment, second place to Paul Wood. So Paul Wood, who at the start of the pit stops was 5th or 6th in the train, now finds himself second. And
plus 12 as well. So he'll be shouting that from the rooftops tonight. he will be shouting the first round to everybody that was involved in the carnage early on, and the 2 leaders, Greathead and Lindsell, who have resumed in 15th and 16th, by the way. The beers will be on Paul Wood, who's come from 14th in this race. He was nowhere in the first race, to be second with 4 laps to go.
So coming into the pit stops, Lavis, Greathead and Lindsell were 2nd, 3rd and 4th. They are now 14th, 15th and 16th.
I'm just being reliably informed as well, and I didn't think about this, A, because I'm south of the border at the moment, and B, because I didn't care. But we're actually up against we're competing with Channel 9 for viewers tonight in Queensland, because they're showing Queensland state election leaders debate, which would be absolutely riveting viewing, I'm sure. Not as riveting as this, ladies and gentlemen. This is far more positive and life-affirming and pulsating. There's no doubt about that. Have a look at this. Thoburn's right there, fighting with Russell and Wood for 4th. So we've got a 3-way fight for 4th, exactly the same as we had, albeit with different protagonists, at the end of race number 1. 16 laps in, there's a fight for 2nd at the moment. It is Paul Wood and Sam Muir, and then this fight for 4th. The other battle on the racetrack, in fact, it's going to be a 4-way fight for 4th in a moment, because John Merritt's in a position where he can latch onto the back of it too. So it's BMW, 2 Mercs and a McLaren. Then Dale Sharp is on his own. Gary Cousins has David Christensen and Eduardo Zamora for company. And then it is the rest of them who've... Oh, geez, Nick Wood got it wide there. That's going to open up the door potentially for Lane Thoburn. Down the outside. This is fantastic stuff, and Aaron Russell as well. Aaron Russell goes around the outside first, and Lane Thoburn does it at turn 1. Very nicely done. John Merritt's now right there with Nick Wood as well, but the Mercs have got to the front of the battle pack.
Absolutely insane, Lane Thoburn to go around the outside of 1. It's something we haven't seen much, but Nick Wood will look to get up the inside of turn 3 here, but Thoburn covers it.
And they had 2 wheels in the dirt and grass on the way out as well. Then they kicked the ripple strip. They were riding on board with Johnny Merritt. He's all of a sudden fancying his chances here. Ewers just had a moment, bolted off the road, but got it back on without too much damage done. However, he's lost a 2.5 to Paul Wood. So I think Woodsy's on track for 2nd here. 2.25 laps to go. Next time by the line, it will be the start of lap 18. 4 minutes on the clock. We get home on time, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry about that. 2 laps to go of the Willow Springs Raceway, which, if you're watching this at home and thinking, oh, geez, I should have signed up, absolutely, you should be kicking yourself, because who wouldn't want to be out there amongst this both of them off? Wood and Merritt at bottom 1 in the final corner. Through comes Dale Sharp to 6th. Wood and Merritt now side by side drag racing for 7th, and the 2 Mercs, Thoburn and Russell, are gone. Can you believe this car race?
How's Dale Sharp? Dale Sharp had a massive slide and they got turned around on turn 2 of the race, and he's now potentially in the running for a top 5, but he's 6th.
Well, and I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to. There's still a lap and a half to go, and so there's still time for more. There's still time for more. Wood and Merritt are still side by side. Well, there they are. So Nick Wood holds off John Merritt 7th and 8th, and then Gary Cousins and David Christensen are all of a sudden right there with them as well. Beaumont's off the road now too in 7th, 8th. Richards is a lap down. Gallen is a couple of laps down. So too is Watkins. In fact, Watkins is 2 laps down. Gallen is barely staying on the lead lap. So 20 start and 20 come home. White flag in the air. Let's go one more time around from Willow Springs in California. Sam Chapman, you picked it. Daniel Benefield, normally putting a tip on someone in this booth is a curse, but not for Sam Chapman tonight. What a performance from him. Porsche at the front of the field, converted with the invert after a mistake in race 1. Actually had to fight with Lane Thoburn for the win of the invert pole position in race 1. Did that very nicely. Thoburn's recovered well from 11th on the grid. But then, for Chapo, right place, right time. All the carnage unfolded behind him. Normally he's involved in it on a Thursday night when we're back in the Formula V days. But he's avoided it tonight. And the reward will be his first race win of the GT4 campaign. Paul Wood has resisted the pressure and withstood the pressure of Sam Muir Aaron Russell has got by Lane Thoburn, so that's still going on, that battle between the Alpha teammates. I think that might be decided in a drag race to the finish line. But Chapo at the front is going to put Porsche power on top. In the opening race of the season, he's keeping it well tight on the inside of the final corner, unlike many of his opponents around him that were bowling it wide at that point of the circuit. Checkered flags in the air, and Chapo is on top of the podium once more. Paul Wood, what a drive that was to second. Magnificent. Sam Muir goes third. The two cars that roll up down in behind them. Then Aaron Russell's going to come through with Lane Thoburn. Oh, look at that. Thoburn's got by Russell. We've had drama at the final corner involving John Merritt and also, I think, Gary Cousins. Drama in the end. Drama right throughout. Drama from first until last. Drivers coughing and spluttering. My goodness gracious me, it's been one hell of a night at Willow Springs in California. I think there will be a combination of drivers coughing and spluttering on empty fuel tanks running on fumes. Oh no, that was Gary Cousins after John Merritt had already spun. Cousins had nowhere to go. So it'll be a combination of they're running on fumes, the tanks run low, they've run it empty, or they're burning off slowdown penalties right in the run to the checkered flag. But that was clean from Aaron Russell and Lane Thoburn. That was just fair play to Lane Thoburn, pipping his teammate on the line.
I think Russell ran out of fuel going to the line, but I'm going to make the handshake meme. Nick Wood and Gary Cousins and having John Merritt in front of them spinning and nowhere to go. How unlucky for Gary Cousins. Yeah, this is Aaron
That
Russell.
is Russell.
He is out of fuel. But it still comes home P5, which is plus 10. Plus 10. Staying out of trouble and still comes home top 5, plus 10 for Aaron Russell.
We need to have a look at the totem pole just for everybody to see just how much orange there is when there would normally just be green in the top end of the... My goodness. Like, I mean, for all 20 to start and finish, given what we saw, it's a bloody miracle. Lane Thoburn, 4th. Aaron Russell, 5th. Dale Sharp, Nick Wood, David Christensen, Gary Cousins. 1, 2, 3, 4 Oz E-Racer entries in the 10, and not the one we would have expected because Adam Lavis was a beneficiary of a 40-second invoice from iRacing, a recipient rather, not a beneficiary, but a recipient of a 40-second invoice from iRacing, as were Fitzroy Beaumont and Adam Richards on their pit stops. So 12 gained for Wood, 9 for Muir, 7 for Thoburn, 10 for Russell, 1 each for Sharp and Wood, 10 for Cousins and 5 for Phil King. But look at the losses. 6 for Christensen, 6 for Zamora, 9 for Bradbury, 4 for Lavis, 9 for Greathead, 5 for Lindsell, 10 for Merritt, and 6 for Golan and Watkins. 20 start, 20 finish. But, I mean, if you were to look at the results sheet, the first thing that comes to mind are the letters W, T, and F as to how the hell we got here. And it all started turn 1, lap 1. Just the way we like an invert race.
He really did, and I think it was Grant in the YouTube chat saying how lucky and how better, what's the word? how important getting P10 in race 1 was for Sam Chapman, because all the action happened behind him, and he just drove away into the distance.
What impressed you most out of the guys that stayed out of trouble and made their way through the field, though? Because there weren't many.
Well, Paul Wood and Aaron Russell have to be the two standouts, I think. Two guys that didn't necessarily... Well, Paul Wood had pretty good pace. Like, his best lap matched Sam Chapman. So he had good pace, but the two guys that we didn't really see at the front in race 1 survived, really, is what they did. They survived and got rewarded with a top 5 in race 2.
Memo to the Porsche Cup cohort. Good luck. Good luck topping that. 27 minutes of just out-and-out carnage from first until last. Some big incidents in that, and a bit to pick apart. Unfortunately for John Merritt, 2 corners from home is when it all started from him. I mean, he had a couple of incidents before that, but to be the only incident on the final lap, that brings undone his good efforts. He eventually only limped home in 16th place, which is not a fair reflection of the pace the McLaren had tonight.
I think a lot of guys, like, you look at Nick,
look at that.
They were sharp. They all made good recoveries. John Merritt in there as well. it's just unfortunate for John that it came undone at the very end.
Now, the fact that we haven't had any drivers come and join us in the chat here, one of two things are happening. They're either busy getting into the Porsche server, or everyone's too hot under the collar and they don't want to come into the commentary box just yet, or they've all been summoned to race control, one of the three. And if race control wants to summon them all after what we saw tonight, how many incidents there were, in fact, to be fair, can I just stress that all the results we just presented to you might be provisional, considering that I think there's a fair report to come from race control based on all of that. But the big incident that's going to be spoken about for the season, I think, will be Lewis Greathead and Sean Lindsell. That might actually be the start of a new rivalry we need to keep an eye on.
It definitely will be, and it's definitely an incident that will be looked at by race control for sure. Generally, if you manage to crash with someone on a straight, it's probably going to be looked at.
Yeah. Oh boy. What about that for pressure? What about that for drama? What about that for action, ladies and gentlemen? If you didn't enjoy that, dead set, go and check your pulse. I mean, I often say that, you know, Thursday night, working on Thursday night's a bit of a compromise because that's usually when the triple or home and away is on. But home and away can wait until Monday when I get back from Taree, because that was well worth it tonight. That was another one coming into the... Rodney Gollan. Rodney Gollan. What about that for an incident? Can we get another look at that actually, please, Daniel? And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Daniel B and Daniel C in the booth this season. We've got Daniel Correa and Daniel Benefield. We need to have another look at that, because the that's actually well worth noting too, because I'm not sure whether that was Lane Thoburn or Aaron Russell, but those guys ended up going in and finishing 4th and 5th, and we're going to have a look at it here and tell you who it was in a moment, hopefully, whether it was Thoburn or Russell. I can't remember now because there was that much uninvolved. But that was a wild, hairy, scary ride for Rodney. That was, oh, jeez. It was Aaron Russell. So, again... Did he get squished? Oh, it's hard to say, because I feel for Aaron Russell in all of that, because at the end of the day, Gollan was giving way to, I think it was Greathead on his inside, and Russell was on the outside. Russell was trying to go for the deeper turn, and all of a sudden, I think the way I'm reading it, I'm interested in your thoughts, Daniel, is that Gollan had to take evasive action here because he saw... Okay, so Thoburn was the one, not Russell. Okay, copy that. So it was Thoburn.
So I don't think they expected... So I think Beaumont's gone in hard.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he was expecting Beaumont to die Gollan. Yeah. So I don't think any of them really expected to end up going through wide, and that's why Thorburn's turned in, because he thought he'd just end up alongside Beaumont and not alongside Gollan.
Yeah, well, yeah, and to be fair, I think Gollan in the end he got spooked. He wasn't probably expecting the car to be dive bombing him on the inside. And that was Beaumont, yes. So, and the only I think the reason I'm getting them mixed up too, folks, is Greathead and Beaumont are both for Vermilion, and they're both trotting Mercs. So just trying to identify who was who in the zoo there made it a little bit more difficult. First night, new term, new liveries, etc. and so forth, and we haven't had GT4 on a Thursday night for a while, so I must say I'm a little bit out of touch with the GT4 cohort. We're just being told too, by the way, 47 cars in the server already for the second portion of tonight's program, the Porsche opener from Sebring, which will be enormous. That's going to keep us busy, Daniel. But yeah, it's interesting to have GT4 back in a sprint capacity. We do have a few more tamer races coming our way with regards to 40-minute affairs, but I'm looking forward to the other sprint rounds already.
Yeah, definitely. If we can get sprint rounds that provide this type of action, then I'm not sure I'll get an opportunity to say much, to be honest, as the colour, because it's just going to be action, 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 action.
Oh, gee. I'm not going to lie. I'm really glad that you're here in a colour capacity, because there are a couple of instances where I've been able to grab the drink bottle from right of screen and have a swig and keep the tonsils lubricated. But, yeah, no, that was more chaotic than even I was anticipating, especially with the small field. But again, it's about the quality, not the quantity, ladies and gentlemen. And that was, if you're a neutral, if you're watching on from afar, if you're tuning in as a regular viewer, that's exactly the sort of spectacle you love to see. Action left, right and centre. Just had about, we had virtually everything that we could hope for except weather. But we didn't need weather to spice it up tonight. If you're a driver or a team owner or a race steward, you're looking at that one and tearing your hair out and absolutely hating life right now. Oh boy. Daniel, Korea Sar this is. Can we have a look at the calendar for this term if you've got it there ready for everybody to enjoy for GT4 and let you know where we're going and when, please, ladies and gentlemen. So, and it's broken down into the formats as well. So there will be 4 sprint rounds and 6 rounds in which we go for 40 minutes. I'd love your thoughts on this, Daniel Battlefield, as a racer, as I run through the calendar here. So we go to Interlagos next week, then Phillip Island, 2 racetracks that just turn it on no matter what the category or the format. Then on to the Hockenheim Ring, which is always a good sprint racing venue, Portimao for the same format. Barber Motorsport Park for 40. I'm pretty sure that's the week I'm not here, actually. Week 6, which is the first Thursday of November, I want to say, because we get 5 rounds in October, and Barber for round 6. I'm not sure if I'm here for that. Mid-Ohio, the sports car course there for sprint racing in week 7. Then on to Zolder. Donington Park's an interesting addition, and the Watkins Glen Boot Circuit for the grand finale. And Watkins always turns it on as well. So some interesting circuits there, mate. What are your thoughts?
Definitely some interesting circuits. Watkins as a decider is going to be very interesting with the drafting up the hill on through the S's. Phillip Island and Interlagos always turn it on. Hockenheim's a great track. Portimao, recent addition to the service, and all the racing we've seen there has been great. Barber is underrated in low grip cars. I love it in a cup car. I'm sure in these GT4s it's just as good. The round I'm looking forward to, though, is Mid-Ohio, because it's a sprint round and it's a similar type of track to this, to Willow. It's a tight track, narrow, hard to pass. It's going to be absolute chaos.
I think one more time on the way out, we need to have a look at that race-defining crash between Lewis Greathead and Sean Lindsay, because this eliminated 2 contenders that had already come in for their pit stop. And once that happened, it just opened, the seas had parted for the bloke that's just joined us in the booth, Sam Chapman, who we're going to chat to very quickly. He timed his run to perfection, because I was about to throw to the brake just now. But have a look at this. So Paul Wood's got the best seat in the house to this. He can see them going to the left and then to the right, straight back across in front of him, and out of contention they went. So he was holding the racing line to the right hand side to set himself up for the left hander, and these 2 were going hard left and left and left, and bang, there it is. And have a look at the impact here for Greathead. He was airborne as well, and straight back in. The reflex was straight into Lindsay, who barely missed Paul Wood by the skin of his teeth. So the rebound was pretty vicious there on that one, and there was no way that Sean Lindsay was getting away with that scot-free. Goodness gracious me. Hey, Chapo, nicely done, mate. Welcome into the booth. Nice to have you on board once more. Race winner in GT4. That's got a nice touch to it.
Yeah, it does. It was a bit of a tough first race. I sort of did that to myself, but a reverse pole was always a happy consolation prize, right?
And geez, you had to work hard for the reverse pole as well.
Bloody did. It's once again all my own fault, really. Like I decided to, I was up on the inside and looped it, and then decided to go on excursion in the final corner as well, and go away that 10th spot. So I had to fight for that back. So. Yeah, they had to fight for it, but I'm glad we got there, because it made that next race a lot easier. Pretty difficult each night. Like the Porsche, just these bimmers, they're bloody good. Particularly that's the straight line pace is just unbelievable. I was sitting, I'm a 10th off at slipstream at one point, and I couldn't pick any time on him and get any overlaps. So, interesting race, but good result in the end.
a case of Porsche's doing Porsche things to you in race 1, but in the end, you brought the best ticket in the house for race 2 with your 10th place because it meant that you had the invert pole, and luckily for you, every single bit of carnage that unfolded in the 27 minutes that followed happened behind you or around you or in front of you, but just didn't involve you.
Well, that's the benefit of being in front of the carnage. As long as you're not causing it, usually you can get away through it. So no, it was. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was handy as well. So Lewis is my teammate too. So that's part of why he didn't make any lunges or anything like that in the first sort of segment, which was handy. And then obviously he did a bit of defence work for me with Sean. And I think
a bit.
Well, I think Sean got a bit frustrated because there wasn't really room up the inside. So, but yeah, massive accident those two. Oh my God.
Yeah. Go back and watch the replay, mate. It was just one of many, but that was the key one. That'll be the defining talking point of the season thus far. Hey, Daniel Betterfield, have you got anything you want to ask Chapo while he's here?
Hey, Chapo, were you guys running? Obviously, you probably don't know the setup Sam Muir was running, but was it quite low ring on the Porsche? Because obviously, both of you guys had spins pretty early on in race 1.
No, it wasn't actually that low. Maybe the brake price was a bit further back. I don't know. I think after that first incident, I lost a bit of confidence in the car. Like the rear was there, but I just didn't have a huge amount of confidence in the car from my side. So it wasn't super. Like probably this is the thing now. So with the change to iRacing BOP, like the thing with the Porsche was, they gave it a little bit of weight, but didn't give it a power deficit in previous seasons, and that was effectively because it just gets pulled on the straights. This season, that's not the case. So I think it's more that we sort of had to work a bit harder than we usually did in the Porsches to be able to stay ahead or let alone make an overtake. So that's probably the mistakes you saw there.
And obviously race 2 starting from the front, chaos behind, but there was a period there before the pit stops where you had Lavis, Great Head and Linsolo behind you. Obviously Great Head, as you said, is your teammate, so he wasn't going to attack you as such, but do you feel, we know how strong the Porsche is on the brakes, that did help you maintain the gap a bit?
Yeah, well, the Porsche, like obviously under brakes and out of the corner, that helps maintain that gap. It was just on the straight that I was getting pulled on, and Adam was faster than me tonight. Like he was making up time. Having said that, I was fuel saving for most of the race as well, just because I wanted to be able to pit and stay ahead effectively, and I think that probably, while there was a mischief, there was probably a decent chance that I would come out ahead anyway, because I'd done about that sort of work early on. But yeah, like obviously there's benefits to the Porsche, and under braking is one of them, but yeah, whether or not on a track like this it's outweighed by the straight line pace, I think probably was tonight.
Do you hear your struggle then at tracks that with the longer straights? Obviously Hockenheim has that big sweeper going into the hairpin as well, but for the most part you should be alright in reality.
Yeah, like I think I will, like with those longer straights. So you'll see, you get to what, like Spa was always a good example, because you got to the end of Spa into 6th gear and cars just started absolutely pulling on you. So in that top gear, it really starts to lose a bit. But as long as you're not spending too much time in that, it's okay. Well, I found the Porsche to be pretty good in the rain as well. So if there's anything in the rain, maybe it'll be okay, just because you've got that sort of exit on the corners and that decent braking. But it can obviously, Porsche do Porsche things, so you've got to be a bit careful there too.
I was think that's exactly what I was going to say. It sounds like the GT3 in the wet. Very good in the wet. Congratulations on the race 2 win tonight. And is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yes, yeah, no, so thank you. I haven't got the sponsor in front of me once again, so Ben's going to wrap me around the ears, but thank you to the...
Good to see you're as organised as you usually are, Trevor.
Yeah, no, exactly, you know how it is. I mean, I'm trying to do a bloody Porsche qualifying while we're doing this as well. So I was going, maybe I won't jump in the box tonight, but, me, I love to yap.
No worry, no one else did.
Yeah, no one else did, yeah, okay, after everything, I'm not all that surprised.
I think race control summoned them all. Anyway.
But anyway, so thank you to those boys and the team and their sponsors, along with Hymo and all those sort of guys. So, yeah.
What are you most looking forward to about the calendar ahead, mate, in terms of the GT4, please?
Probably not necessarily track in particular, but I am looking forward to a bit of rain. I like a bit of rain in these cars.
Good. So are we. We're looking forward to that as well. Mate, we're going to leave it there because we're getting ready for the Porsches. Thank you. Well done.
Cheers. Have a good one, guys.
Oh, boy. Have we caught our breath yet? I'm not sure, but we will have to do it very quickly because very shortly, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be tuning in to round one of Spreyton Cider Porsche Cup action from Sebring International Raceway, and doing so for a 60-minute affair that will be contested by up towards 50 cars. The one thing I didn't get to say to Sam Chapman, but he'll hear it when he goes back on the broadcast and probably just roll his eyes, is that had it been a Formula V race, he would have been in the carnage irrespective of where he started. And he knows all too well that we've got ample amounts of evidence to back up the statement. We're going to a break. It's great to have you along for the ride. The first edition of Thursday Night Motorsport for the new term. Across the platforms, the GSRC, Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. We're broadcasting to you. Well, I'm live in Taree tonight, of all places, and it's great to be here on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. We are going to come back on the other side of this short break as night four, I should say, of week one of term 4 continues for you here with 60 minutes of Porsche heaven. Hope you can stay with us for the balance of the evening, because if they dish up anything like what the GT4s have done tonight, you're in for an absolute treat. Don't go away. Thursday night motorsports on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, continuing for you live and free across the streaming services of Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. And it is nice to have you along for the ride. Night 4 of week 1 of term 4. And now we zero in on the Sebring International Raceway in Sebring, Florida. Home, of course, the famed Sebring 12-hour, and home to a night off whenever we visit the venue and a championship that Nick Fodiatis is competing in. Zach Caban and Daniel Benefield still back here with you. Daniel Correa and Josh Zuno punching the buttons in the background for us tonight. So it's a cast of thousands in the booth. And we are doing this for you with thanks to the great people that are popping up in the right-hand side of the top of your screen at this point, folks. The good news, Daniel, is we've got 48 cars in the server, so an enormous turnout for the new season for the Porsches, and we've got a couple of drivers here that may not be making it onto the grid, but if they are, they'll be doing so from the very back of it, having not yet set a time in qualifying.
Millions in the broadcast space, and apparently millions on the server in Sebring as well. 48 possible cars to start in this race. I am so looking forward to this.
Remember the days when I used to, actually, if we get a chance, we didn't during GT4, but if we get the chance during Porsches, mate, we need to talk about your exploits at Le Mans the other night in GT3, because that was a great result, first up in the new campaign, and we're looking forward to seeing you on the grid every Monday night, in fact. But remember the days, Daniel Correa will remember, some of our loyal audience will remember as well. Thursday night, this was dessert because we had Formula V as the main course in the first slot on track. I've got that sort of vibe about GT4 at the moment after what they dished up at Willow Springs. This might actually take a lot to top GT4, but if we're going to do it anywhere, we're going to do it at Sebring, folks. 10 o'clock in the morning server time. Home, of course, to the 12-hour every March for the IMSA WeatherTech United Sports Car Championship. 13 km/h winds in a mostly easterly to southeasterly direction. You've got 25 degrees the ambient, 29 on track, and 68% humidity, but good thing is it's clear at the moment. Grant Gill remembers because he was here when we first started touting it as main course into dessert, because it was the last night of our broadcast week. On that subject, Radicals tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Nick Fodiatis and Joe Baldwin with you for that one, as Downforce Legends goes back to its traditional roots with the Radicals, not necessarily the time slot, taking over from where the IndyCar was last term. And of course, we mentioned it the other night that Mr. Benefield here, very handy in an IndyCar as well, and at least iRacing thought as much. I got a little bit of a shock last Thursday, Daniel, thank you. I didn't know it had been submitted. I wake up and there's people saying, "You're on iRacing, what's going on?" And I'm like, yes, been doing it for 5 years. So that was very nicely done from you. Were you as surprised as I was when it popped up?
No, because I was the one in email communication with him, so no, I was not surprised. I was surprised it was as quick as it was versus the email communication with them, but I wasn't surprised when it did pop up.
Yeah, because I know things have been submitted before, both from the club and from competitors, but that was the first time I think any of our staff has made it across the platform, across their socials. But what was even more interesting with regards to that was the amount of people in there that thought I was Lee Diffie. I'll take that as a compliment and run with it any day of the week. Here and now, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, 0.04 of a second separates the top 4 in this qualifying session. We'll get to that in a moment. Quickly, let's have a look at the calendar for the term ahead before we get these cars on the grid. There it is for you on your screen now. Sebring tonight, really looking forward to next week already. Sprint racing from Monza, you bloody beauty. Week 3, Portimao for 40 minutes. Barber Motorsport Parking week 4 for sprint racing. Silverstone week 5 for 40 minutes. Then Brands Hatch, so that UK swing in the middle of the championship. Sprint racing at Brands Hatch, always a favourite. Virginia International Raceway in the United States for 40 minutes, round 7. Then the alternate circuit Zolder, that'll be interesting for 2 sprint races in round 8. Round 9, we go sprint racing from the Sachsenring. First time I'll have called a race at the Sachsenring on our server. And then 3 sprint races to finish it off from Phillip Island, which is always a good venue to go racing in the Porsches. Leg 1 of the term for the Porsches takes us to Sebring, and it's a 60-minute affair And it looks like this, folks. Sam Muir on pole alongside Benny Pedersen, Chuk Fung Wong and Mark Gomez the second row. Adam Hayne and Benny Woods the third row. Aidan Luthwaite, Jared Knight the fourth. Simon Mesamo and Jake Jackson from row 5. 6 is Rain Campbell and Dane Snadden. 7, Corey Bennett and Glenn Arnott. 8, Adam Lord and Lachlan Frank. Some new names popping up here, folks. Jack Rogers and Vinny Nguyen from row 9. Sam Chapman and Jonathan Hooper from 10. Shannon Fever and Adam Lavis from 11. From 12, it's Dean Hunt and Nick Wood. From 13, it's Stephen Gallacher and David Christensen. From 14, Liam Haycock and Stephen Cretterton. From 15, it's Eduardo Zamora and Brett Bradbury. Greg Heaney and Philip Thurlow. From 16, Barry Punter, Lachlan Shinkfield. From 17, Cal Brown, Russell Gander. From 18, Sean Rees, Dave Oliver. From 19, Dale Atkins and Fitzroy Beaumont. From 20. From 21, it's Tristan Koch and Martin Walker. From 22, Rob Edwards and Paul Wood. Then 23, Greg Levine and Bobby Camo. From 14, Kunj Patel and no Jackson Dial on the grid here by the looks of it at Sebring tonight. 47 cars, ladies and gentlemen. What a sight that is. Backed up around the final corner for 60 minutes. Strategy will play a part here. We just don't know whether it'll be one stop or two. My instinct suggests that it'll be two. And we are in the starters' hands in the post-Matty Dench era of the Spreyton Cider Porsche Cup. The outgoing 10-time champion admitted to us on Monday night that he wouldn't be on the grid this term. So the throne is there for someone to put their self upon at the end of the term. We're racing now. Have a look at that for a sight as they fan out across the main straight and on the run towards the first quarter. Benny Pedersen, a beautiful start. But he's wide through one. He's lost the lead already to Sam Muir. There's going to be plenty of action in the opening stages here, and a big send down the outside from Adam Hayne to turn 3. Through they go. Logjam, congestion, bumper-to-bumper stuff. This opening section of the race fraught with danger as everybody tries to buy some clear air.
I've gone single file pretty quickly, to be honest. They got much cleaner than race 2 at Willow Springs. As Jake Jackson is going around the outside. No, Snadden, sorry, trying to outside of.
That's brave.
Yeah, very brave from Snadden on the Jake Jackson.
Wayne Campbell's got himself into the top 10 off the start as well. Top 4 status quo remain that way. So Pedersen initially got the jump on. Pedersen was a little bit wide through, on Muir, was a little bit wide through one, and Muir slipped back up on the inside. Halfway through the opening lap. It's a big season ahead, an enormous road, a mixture of circuits and race formats. Traditional favourites and a couple that will be interesting to see how well they're received by the competitor cohort. What will also be interesting is to see how this field stacks up number-wise as the season rolls on. Whether we're going to have 47 regulars or whether we're going to have people coming and going. Will there be that slight drop-off that we're so regularly and commonly associated with and familiar with in this form of racing? We wait and see. Muir leads at the end of the opening lap to Pedersen and Fung Wong and Gomez as they make their way around onto the main straight. So yes, the mantle is there for someone to make their own. In the absence of Denchi, there will be a new champion at the end of this term. Somebody else at the top of the summit. And the contenders are many. There were so many people challenging Denchi last term without success, without rewards. Some of them a little bit hard done by. There were a couple of rounds that proved rather challenging for a couple of would-be competitors. This term, with Denchi out, the stakes are probably even higher, Daniel, to be fair, because, 9 times out of 10, when Denchi's in the server, you look at each other and you say, oh, good night, Denchi, we're racing for second, you know. There's David Christensen at turn 1. He had company in the form of the Synergy 668. Christensen back on pit lane on the tow rope. Is he done for the night? It would seem so. He's been on the tow rope for 2.5 minutes. That was Cal Brown on replay having a moment as well, but keeping it off the wall. So plenty of action early on. We'll go through some movers and shakers very shortly. But Daniel, from your standpoint, I mean, you've raced against Genji. You saw what he did on Monday. No, the teammates.
That's awkward.
That's very awkward. That's an uncomfortable post-race discussion coming up. A debrief post-mortem. Oh no.
So this was Lachlan Frank. Who was that? Who was the other Vermilion car? Corey Bennett. Corey kind of moving late to cover his teammate at the start of a 60-minute race, and they've crashed into each other. But
don't need to be doing that rubbish.
For the most part, a very tame first lap from the Porsches compared to the GT4s. But these guys obviously realizing it is a 60-minute race. It is a very long race, and strategy and pit stops still to come as well. It was interesting. Some mixing in the start, not so much the top four, but further down, Mizomo and Knight both got blinders of the start, both up +3. By turn one, pretty much. Ray and Campbell at +1, and Rades Mora like +9 down in 20th.
Now, the run down towards turn one. Benny Pedersen right there with Sam Muir. He's happy to just sit in and allow... Oh, geez, have a look at Aiden Luthwaite with the big send. Risky business trying to go up on the outside. It's whiskey in every sense of the word. Gone! Luthwaite's made contact with Benny Woods, who's in the wall. And the drama continues.
It's just not been Benny Woods' night, has it, tonight? Oh, no. Caught up in race 2, nowhere to go. I'd like to see that one again before I apportion any blame for this. Luthwaite trying to go around the outside on the bumps, and he tried to stick around the outside. You normally try to over-under here, but he's...
Oh, well, he was there.
What, I think it's 50-50. Luthwaite had a bit of a moment, but I tell you what, Benny squeezed him pretty hard.
Oh, indeed. So let's have a look at this.
So there's the slide from Luthwaite, and at the same time, Benny Woods is tracking out, and the two meet in the middle.
Yeah, and left no one, either of the protagonists, anywhere to go.
Be interesting to see how race control view that. To me, that's 6 eggs in one basket, 6 eggs in the other.
Good luck to race control. They've got a lot of paperwork to get through over the next couple of days. They might be here till Monday, especially after GT4. Well, actually, you mentioned that was a tame start compared to GT4. I think everything we've seen this week is tame compared to GT4.
That is a good point. But I tell you what, I've been watching Gnomes and Knight here, right? And they've been side by side a couple of times. Knight obviously feels like he has pace over the Gnomes. But if they keep battling, the top 3 are just going to pull away, and it's going to become a 3-horse race very quickly.
Quick good evening and g'day to Marty Rogers, who's trouble on the main straight. And I was just about to mention the bloke, Jack Rogers. I think it might have been. No, Brett Bradbury, my apologies. Jack has lost out in that as well. He's on the pit lane too. So 2 drivers out of business there. I was just literally reaching for the phone. There was a message notification there. I was going to say g'day to this guy's dad, Jack Rogers. Oh, geez. One of the Whiskey Business Racing entries caught up in that as well. Now, luckily for Rogers, he's probably able to loop it around into the pit lane from there and keep going on. So that's not too bad for him. But whether he's got an invoice to pay, no. 14.2 seconds in and out again. Brett Bradbury's stop was 22.38. It was a separate incident. It was isolated for Brett Bradbury, so he wasn't involved in that at all. Drama aplenty in the opening stages. That is a trouble point, that part of the circuit. Porsche's doing Porsche things. They're known to slip out in the rear at that particular point of the racetrack. There's Dane Snadden having a moment. Kunj Patel on pit lane. Benny Woods has been there for 2:47 already. Russell Gander now showing off the track as well. Oh, it's all happening at Sebring. I was literally just reaching for the notes and saying g'day to Marty Rogers, Jack's dad, tuning in. He just messaged me and said, you know, Jack for the win. Great to see Jack back on the grid. We know he's been a bit MIA. We are aware why, but yeah, not the way you want to see him return to the server. He had good pace, but that's all gone belly up very quickly.
I was about to ask why Mark Gomes and Pro had lost 3 seconds to Pedersen and Muir, and the replay just showed exactly why. Chungfu won just looping it in the middle of the hairpin, and everyone else having to take evasive action as Jared Knight on the inside of Mark Gomes.
Yep, I'm going to come back to that. You can see it unfolding on the broadcast screen at the moment, folks, on the run down the main straight at the end of another lap, and that's very nicely done. Although, Knighty needs to be careful there. Oh, geez. Got across quickly to cover off Simon Mesimo, the 9.5 SimSport entry. So we're right on board with him for the moment, having a look at Knight and Gomez. I need to mention as well, so Brett Bradbury and Jack Rogers, I thought it was a very quick pit stop for them. Bradbury was on the tow rope, 22.38 seconds. He's parked up and done for the night. Rogers as well, and I'm not sure why, because I would have thought that he would have been able to get a fast repair and get back out there. Not the case. He's 90 trying to send it down the inside unsuccessfully for the moment, although if he gets a good run out of the hairpin, no, he won't. So let's have a look at this battle as it plays out. Three-way fight, and you know who's loving this, Daniel? Pedersen and Sam Muir, because they've just seen their opportunity to bolt.
Yeah, I literally said it 3 minutes ago. If these two keep fighting, the top, well, there was 3 at the point, with Chuck Fu 1 as well, are just going to drive away. Chuck Fu 1 spinning helped create the gap, and now Muir and Pedersen are just driving away from the field.
No safety car yet as well. That's probably a miracle. Through 5 laps at Sebring. Oh dear. And this is the other thing as well. You nailed the point, mate. Your commentary debut has been for the GSRC has been stellar so far. The squabbling is costing them. You know what it's like. You raced GT3 at Le Mans the other night. You did so very well, irrespective of your love or hate of the Circuit de la Sarthe. You know what it's all about. You can't be squabbling this early in the pieces. Pedersen throws it down the inside of the final quarter. Forget what I was saying. The 2 leaders are now going at it as well. Pedersen takes over from Muir, new race leader, and Hayne gets by Mesimo at the same time. So Hayne goes to 5th. Next target, his teammate Jared Knight. Gomez continues to lead that train, which is now 7 deep. Rain Campbell, the last of those. But the change at the front. Muir has the fastest lap of the race, 2:04.738. Mesimo now gets back by Hayne. They're squabbling those two. They're arguing over the same piece of real estate. There they are, side by side. Mesimo, not yet. Hayne still there. Now Mesimo will get it done, I think, on the inside to the left-hander. Hayne wants to force the issue, though. Good battle between these two evolving here and unfolding before our very eyes. And now they'll argue over which line they want to take to the right-hander. But it's interesting, isn't it, mate? We're talking, and Luthwaite sends it down the inside of Jackson and around. Aiden Luthwaite, the latest one to come unstuck. Drops outside the top 10, loses out to Lord and Campbell and Fung Wong and Chapman. Luthwaite drops to 12th.
Looks like Luthwaite got caught up on the curve. Obviously, Sebring got 3D curves earlier this year, so that inside curve at the hairpin is a lot more aggressive. And I think he's just hooked it, and it's completely rotated the car around. And we saw, as we look at the replay, he's looking at Mesimo. He's got, I think that's Jake Jackson to the outside, and yeah, he's just hooked it on the curb, and it's just ultra rotated. Something's happened to Sam oh, no, that's Jake Jackson, sorry.
You're right, yep. So Jackson has come unstuck and dropped to 6th in all of that. Luthwaite drops out of the top 10, now 13th, trailing Dean Hunt. And we pick up, something's happened to Jared Knight. That's the name that's dropped down our leaderboard. Knight slipped back to 10th. Well picked up, Daniel Corriasar and Josh Zuno.
I knew something had happened to one of them because I saw Mark Gomes on his own, and this is what happened to 90.
Oh no!
He's just gassed it up on the exit.
Jeez, the rear end of these Porsches quite squirrely, quite taily tonight. There's no doubt about that. We're at the 12 3/4 minute mark, folks. Can you believe the action you've seen thus far? 2:04.185 now. Fast love the race for Benny Pedersen. We're heading for, I hazard a guess, probably 29 laps tonight. at this pace, 2:04, so 15 fours is 60. There's 57 minutes if you take 28 laps. You're looking at 57 and another 13 is 52. So you're almost, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? We're looking at about 58 minutes for 28 laps, so 29 to get one more in with the 2 pit stops, I think will be a safe bet tonight. So we're not even a third of the way there just yet. There is Hunt arguing over the same piece of real estate, Rid Chapman, and also Luthwaite. Luthwaite on the comeback trail, trying to find his way back into the top 10, but he's got a fair bit of work to do now.
Not gonna lie, Zach, I held my breath for a second there when I saw Luthwaite looking at making it 3 wide.
Yep. Not the sort of thing to be doing in the back roads of Sebring. Certainly on the back straight and the main straight, you could probably get away with 3 wide, but these are not Formula V machines. There he is, trying to get the run. And now 3 wide again. Have a look at this. That's brave from Luthwaite. Or stupid, one of the two. If it comes off and pays dividends for him, it's good. If it doesn't, oh, geez, definitely a little bit of paddle rubbing going on there, but he's got himself back to the 12. Next target, Sam Chapman. Off goes Hunt on the grass. That is costly. It gives Luthwaite the slightest bit of breathing space. McEwen's down there on the inside of Hunt as well. They've come from everywhere. The battle packs are swooping in. Oh, massively wide, gone. McEwen's boulder wide. But we don't worry too much about the off-track limits here at Sebring, let's be honest.
He might still get some more back here because of the simple run he would have got out the corner. There you go. Needing back past some more and up into 14. It's good to see a few flogged elite juice guys in the Porsche Cup car.
Oh. Jeez.
So I think there might have been a bit of contact there between Nugent and Zamora. You've got Nick, the recovering Nick Wood, down in 16th behind these guys now as well.
Just going back to Grant Gill's point, he said the Zaculator's still good. The bingo card is filling up very nicely for him. But what I do want to point out, and I've already got politics in there for you, mate. I'm working through it as we speak. I'm trying to remember everything that was on the bingo card. But yes, the only unknown here for me is the transit time. So if one of our boys can get on top of that as they come into the pit lane, when that first round of pit stop happens, that might give us a clearer picture as to just how much overtime might be required to get that 29th lap in. Remembering that if you get back to the line in the 60th minute, at any point of the 60th minute, to see the white flag, it can be about anywhere up to 59 minutes and 57 seconds. They'll give you that extra lap to get us home. Now, I wouldn't know at the moment. Grant, how Ipswich is, because I'm in Taree this weekend. There's Sean Rees getting a helping hand off the road in the Sharp EIT entry. I do know that it's going to be humid, muggy and uncomfortable on the weekend, and an hour behind for the next 6 months from Sunday mornings. So how's that for you? Jared Knight to the inside, very nicely done on his recovery mission by Chuk Fung Wong into 8th. And the next target is Ryan Campbell. Adam Lord in that battle as well. Now, for Daniel and everybody else's benefit, for those of you that are tuning in at home, if you haven't watched the Porsche Cup in a while and you need a refresher, as Adam Hayne goes to 3rd on Mark Gomez, and then they quickly swap it around. Hayne's arguing the point here with Gomes, who sends it wide, and that gifts it to Hayne. Hayne into the top 3 for HGS Racing. Eduardo Zamora's just dropped down to 16. Jackson has got by, so too Mesimo. Gomes went in 3rd place and comes out in 6th, so it's -3 for Gomes right now.
Yeah, just went in too deep into turn 3, which meant he got on the grass and he tried throwing up on the grass by the looks of it, and the rear just snatched, which let Mazoma and Jackson through. Ryan Campbell was all over him into the hairpin as well, but it looks like he's not as close now coming into Cunningham.
112 is the number you're looking forward to, by the way, Grant. Ryan Campbell, we're riding on board with him right now. So, totem pole, left of screen, you can see a few different numbers there, positional numbers in different plated codes. So, black plate, yellow number is the Elite Cup. Red plate, white number is those that haven't got a division yet in terms of their classification, whether they're an elite competitor or an open split competitor, because this is either their first. Grant's got bingo up already. That's quick. It's only 24 past 9. I've done well. Those guys are new to the server and haven't done too many races with us, so therefore Adam Lavis will go through the matrix at the end of the night and work out where the line is and who's above it and below it. And the Open Cup competitors are the yellow plates with the white numbers. So there's a quick indication as to how we roll here in the Porsche Cup, with thanks to Spreyton Cider. Three splits in one server at the moment. Usually it's 2. Once we get through a few more rounds this season, it will be. The red plates will start to disappear. We ride on board with Ryan Campbell now.
I'm more surprised it took you 18 minutes to mention the classes, like, to be honest.
Well, we haven't had a chance. There's been that much going on. 16th Eduardo Zamora is the best place to the open split at the moment. That's 16th outright. But what's not known is where that cutoff is, and whether Vinny McEwen or Dean Hunt or someone in that 11th to 15th bracket is going to slip into the open split next week. And points are awarded based on class, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, yes, we call it as an outright race, but the points table at the end of the season will be reflective of class results in each server. So you might finish, pick a number out of thin air, 40th outright, but you might be 12th in class, so you get the points for 12. Speaking of the points matrix and the infrastructure, Adam Lavis is responsible for much of that, and he's the 4th car in this train at the moment. Led by, Nick Wood's getting on by there. Eduardo Zamora's gone, Vinny Nguyen's gone wide. Eduardo Zamora's got up on his inside and capitalised on that. Adam Lavis has just got to be careful to not get caught up in any mess that might about to be unfolding here. And in behind him also, for good measure, is Lachlan Frank. So Adam Lavis is in the absolute thick of it at the moment, and not for the first time tonight.
Definitely not. Nguyen running very deep into the hairpin, which opened the door for everyone really, but only Nick Wood taking advantage of that, and now it's a train behind 15th place Nugent as Lavis is defending from Frank.
He is indeed. Whether it's successful or not remains to be seen. It is for the moment. Also, you can tell the red mist has descended on Jared Knight. You can tell he's had a gutful already. 2:03.828, fastest lap of the race thus far. Nguyen is we're getting the pronunciation lessons from Grant Gill in the comments through to the YouTube channel as well. Thank you, mate. Come back and visit any time you like to, by the way. We know you're part of the furniture here, but we haven't heard much of you in recent times, but good to see you still with us and enjoying the retired lifestyle, mate. Adam Lavis in 17th outright right now. Pit stops can't be too far away because we've just gone past 1/3 race distance.
And it's gone in a flash, really, hasn't it? I was going to mention Jared Knight as well. Clear air at the moment. He's got about 1.7 seconds up to Ryan Campbell. And that is spaced out a little bit, but that is really the train for third that he's coming up to next. Payne, Mazomo, Jackson, Gomes, and Campbell, all covered by about 3 seconds.
Oh, trouble. Lock up for Nguyen. Oh, Zamora, sorry, Zamora. And Frank and Lavis get on by. Very nicely done.
Hasn't this little battle pack turned it on the last couple of laps back?
Well, part of the field has to, really, to be fair, because it's very spaced out at the top end of the train. The top 12 are fairly spaced out. Dean Hunt, the only one under any sort of real pressure there at the moment. He's got Sam Chapman rolling on through. Actually, do us a favour, Daniel, while you're here, because that way I'm not doing all the heavy lifting. I'll let you do the analytics of this. Positional gains and losses so far, mate, because I'm looking up and down this tree and I can see a lot of orange and a lot... Oh, trouble! Off and on the grass is Nick Wood, and not for the first time tonight.
it's not been a good night for both Woods. Ben Woods already out of the race, and Nick Woods, I'm gonna guess he's done this on his own. He's just one ride, and he's gassed it up on the curb, and the left rear tyre is saying, no, I don't want to do that. And he has gone around, and he has made the wall.
5 retirements thus far, mate, but plenty of positional moving and shaking as a result of that. Talk us through the big gains and losses so far tonight, if you don't mind.
Well, Dean Hunt's up 11, so one of our newbies is that Barry Hunter spinning on the inside of one of the Vermilion cars. As Jared Knight's in the lane for his stop.
Good observation, actually. In the lane, first of the leaders to pull the trigger. Although Liam Haycock, Greg Heaney and Philip Thurlow and Rob Woods have also transited the lane already. Fairly lengthy stop for a couple of those guys, actually. Philip Thurlow, 34.88, something not quite right there. Greg Heaney, 13.62, that's a bit more accurate. That's possibly a short stop to get him home on a long stop. Next time round, Nick Wood, Stephen Crediton joined Jared Knight on pit lane as well. Knighty's gone deep, 26.42 seconds. So some interesting strategy play already evident as a result of those pit stop times.
Yes, indeed. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see where Jared Knight comes out at the end of these stops, because he wasn't really on the back of Ryan Campbell, but we know he definitely had the pace and he was catching that train. So look for Jared Knight when that Hayne, Mazomo, Jackson, Gomez, Campbell all pit, and where he comes out versus them.
Sam Chapman, 12th place at the moment. But we know that this order is already getting jumbled up by way of pit stops. We won't really get an idea of corrected order until that second round of stops starts playing out. But we know that Jared Knight will be on track for at least a top 10 finish if all goes well for the balance of the night. Despite that little early setback, we know that Chapo will fancy his chances at a top 10 to complement the race win in GT4 earlier tonight as well. Adam Hayne for HTS Racing now goes to pit lane as well. He drops back to 7th. We've got Sam Chapman in 12th that we're watching at the moment. He's chasing Dean Hunt. They're about to become 10th and 11th. Aidan Luthwaite's got back into the top 10 as well. But so a long way to go at Sebring. Hey, Daniel, you're a racer here, so at some point later tonight, we will take this opportunity to leverage a little bit of your expertise and insight and get you to talk us through a lap of this magnificent circuit, I think. 25 minutes and 40 seconds into the race, and you're already noticing a couple of things. One, it's settled down somewhat. It won't settle down forever. It will ramp up towards the end of the race. 2, the bumps, and 3, the curbs are already having an impact.
They are indeed. I think the race has settled down since we're getting into the pit cycle now, so everyone kind of just wants to run their own race to run their strategy, really, which is probably why it's settled down a bit. The bumps, we saw, I want to say it was Bradbury absolutely lose the car in Sunset Bend over the curbs earlier on in the race. And the curbs were like, the 3D curbs have been around most of the year now. They got added before the 12-hour at the start of the year. But it's catching a few more people out than I expected.
So you're riding on board with Jonathan Hooper now. And we're at the 27-minute mark of this 1-hour affair. Oh, lock up for Hooper, trying to avoid getting backed up there, getting checked up rather. That was unlucky. Hooper's compromised as a result of that, and I mean, he's still 21st, but now he's got a little bit of an invoice to pay, make it 22nd with the risky business entry, diving down the inside. That was costly for him, unfortunately.
He's still got the run here and Snadden on the exit, so it'll be interesting to see if he can hold the outside. Oh, Snadden's off the road.
He is. Oh, he did well. He did well not to be out of business completely there, Snadden. Have a look at it. Whoa! How good. Snadden gets through, goes to 21st.
That's impressive. Holding the outside, considering he was off the road at one point.
Look at him.
Oh, it's still not done here. The Hooper's coming back.
not yet doing their best, Greathead and Lindsell, but they went very closely in the direction of the right-hand wall. To the last corner they go, still side by side. Oh, Snadden hugging the cement. Hugging the concrete on the last corner. Down the main straight we go. Still side by side. Hooper's not willing to relent 21st just yet. Make it 20th now because pit lane activity continues. To the first corner. Can Snadden set this up for the run down to 3? And they've got to be mindful of Adam Hayne, who's back in the train having already completed... No, having not completed a pit stop. Yes, he did, on lap 12, my apologies. So that has only just happened. It's something that we've missed in everything that's unfolded here in the last few moments. The other one that's just jumped in, Shannon Fever. So that's why those guys have been able to move up into the top. Well, this is the battle for 20th now. So Hayne's got to be careful here as well, Daniel. This is another point. The leaders are going long. They're almost at halfway. Will they get in this time by? If not, it looks like it could be a one-stopper for them, which takes out any sort of questions with regards to strategy play. I'm looking at this now thinking if we don't see Benny Pedersen in this time by, it will be probably a one-stopper because next time by will be halfway. 14 laps done, he's going on, so it's a one-stopper for Pedersen and Muir at, with my best calculations here, because 14 and 15 is 29. And if they can get 15 out of the first stint, they've only got to get home on 14. So that is that eliminates the strategy play to a point that we would normally associate with these races. As Chapman goes to 10th and Dean Hunt comes to pit lane, I've somewhat lost the train of thought there and all of that. But I guess for Adam Hayne, the issue for him now, because he's just lost out. Jonathan Hooper's got by both Snadden and Hayne there. Hayne has to be careful not to get bogged down in that traffic and held up.
Yeah, this is hurting Adam Hayne's race so much right now because he's racing these 4 cars on screen right now. And as you can see, yes, they're in close proximity to each other, but the head of the train is in clear air as he's still trying to get past Dane Snadden here, and he's not got the preferred line into 1. He's going to over him here, 100%, and go out the inside into 2. He backed out a bit, but this is hurting Adam Hayne's race so much in the race with the cars he's actually racing, who are
and
all
this is why you question strategy sometimes. This is why the experienced campaigners, the leaders, go long. Because the longer they go, the further through the pit sequence we are, the less chance they're going to get of re-entering the circuit in congested traffic. Unfortunately, Adam Hayne hasn't brought any luck with that strategy call tonight. Just having a look through, we've got Tristan Cross and Sean Rees currently on pit lane. We've had Corey Bennett and Fitzroy Beaumont and Dale Atkins. So too Dean Hunt all come in at the end of lap 14. We are on lap 15. Benny Pedersen is going again. Past half race distance on the clock, and in terms of the lap count as well, folks. We're on lap 16 of what we believe will be... I believe it'll be 29. Even with the fact that we're not going to have a second pit lane transit. I was going through the motions with that earlier. 29 times 2 is 58, of course. 29 times 4... sorry, 29 times 2 is 56, and 29 times 4 is 1:56. So there's 57 and 56 seconds. So 29 to 20. Geez, I'll tell you what, it's push and shove. It could well be flagged at. I don't see how it could be flagged at 28. We run to time, of course. We'll have a little bit of overtime for the pit stop sequence there, so it's not going to be as far into overtime as it normally would be. We've only got a 4-second window there to play with if we keep going at 2:04s, and into the wall goes Adam Hayne. Exactly what we're talking about. Hayne's pitted early, he's made a mistake, and he's got a damaged car for the balance of the night. Can you believe this? Last turn coming onto the main straight, he was wide, and the back end of the Porsche was not having a bar of it. He took someone with him for company.
No. Adam Hayne had nowhere to go. Snadden lost it in front of him.
Oh, Snadden that lost it. Yeah.
And
Copy.
Adam Hayne has had nowhere to go.
Oh, jeez.
That's exactly what we were talking about, Zach.
To be fair, he did well actually to keep it off the inside wall.
Nowhere. No.
Oh, jeez.
I tell you what, he's lucky. He's done well to not hit Snadden that hard either. So he's actually avoided damage pretty well in 2 separate instances there. And Philip.
Oh no. Thurlow had already stopped as well, and now his front end's crunched up. So actually, to be fair, we only caught the tail end of Haynes' incident live. That car doesn't look as though it'll require any sort of attention. He should be able to nurse that home, even with the slightest bit of damage. It shouldn't hamper him too much. That is unfortunate, though, that it's happened, but he's just got to put the head down, the bum up, and get on with it now. And there they are arguing over 20th. So, yeah, interesting times. Just so everybody at home is aware, because we won't see pit stops on lap 29. 29 by 4 is 116. So there's it's 59 minutes and 56 seconds to 29 completed laps. It is the pit lane transit and the stationary box time that will take us beyond the hour, and we can start that final lap anywhere up to and including about 3 seconds from regular time. So we will start that lap. We will go beyond the hour just to get it in, but yes, it does look like it's going to be bang on 29 laps, as it would have been had we needed a second stop as well. Down into pit lane now. It's getting pretty busy down there, Daniel. Lachlan Frank, Jonathan Hooper and Dane Snadden.
Actually, the fact there's obviously quite a large pit window since it's a one-stop now, and we're seeing a lot of different strategies. I was going to say, actually, before Adam Hayne's mistake, remember Jared Knight pitted the lap earlier, and when he went in, he was about 5-6 seconds behind Adam Hayne. Before that mistake, Jared Knight was pretty much on his tail. That's how much time Adam Hayne had lost before this minute. Obviously now he's lost even more. He's battling Dean Hunt, who has also stopped. So this is before net position is battle for 17th at the moment between Adam Hayne and Dean Hunt.
And interesting to note, right, we're not even at the end of the 17th lap we're about to be. So we're 35 and nearly a half minutes into this thing. In come the leaders. In come the leaders. Pedersen and Muir are on pit lane. We've picked up Jake Jackson and Simon Mesimo. They're going an extra lap, but Pedersen and Muir are in at the end of lap 17. So it's interesting how big this fuel window is now in terms of how far we can run green at full tilt from the start of the race to when we decide to stop. We've gone beyond 35 minutes. So there is a general consensus, particularly amongst the top 16 or 17 who hadn't stopped coming up to the completion of that previous lap. That's now top 7 plus Newen, Lavis, Gallagher, and Glenn Arnott and Dave Oliver. We know that Dave Oliver will just run the tank dry. They've opted to just run the tank to empty and then minimise the amount of top-ups. So it's an interesting strategy, but it's working for them so far.
It is so far. Pedersen with about a second longer stop than Muir, so they're 6 tenths apart again, so it's nice and close again for the net lead. But they've come out behind Vinnie Newen, who hasn't stopped yet. So depending how much those two get held up this lap, we might see whether or not Mizomo and Jackson and co might come back into the battle for the lead.
Jeez. Wow. Some tantalising stuff unfolding here tonight on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. Simon Mesmo now the race leader from Jake Jackson. Mark Gomez, after an early moment, is back there in third. Rain Campbell, fourth. Chook Fung Wong, Aidan Luthwaite, Sam Chapman, Vinnie Newen, the top 8 yet to stop. Pedersen and Muir have come out separated by half a second, so there they are on screen. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Those two were separated by a code advantage going into their pit stop. Look at their transit times. Pedersen's stop time was 14.82, Muir's 13.2. So Muir's gone a little bit less to try and get home. Maybe maybe, just maybe, hoping to tuck in behind Benny and save a little bit on the way to justify it, as Jake Jackson and Chook Fung Wong now come to pit lane for their compulsory fuel drop. And remembering full well that they need that juice to get home. But yeah, it's interesting how many drivers have opted to just run this thing empty or as close to it as possible to get themselves in. It's interesting too, because I know there's the topic of fuel saving has been contentious and controversial in the past. I thought we might have been eliminating that, but there still seems to be a little bit of it going on in terms of the sheer, as Eduardo Zamora has had a moment there at the end of the back straight. There seems to be a fair discrepancy. The pit range, the pit window is a lot wider than it has been in the past, which means we're seeing small trickles into pit lane as opposed to 1 or 2 or 3 laps that are very heavily transited. The pit lane window has expanded, and therefore the traffic is nowhere near as bad on pit lane as it has been in other races, Daniel.
Yeah, I think that's going to help the guys, to be honest. It means that they can just run their own strategy, run their own race. Interesting that Jake Jackson came in. He's coming out about 5 seconds behind Sam Muir as we're watching Bobby Kamong loop himself around at the hairpin. Pretty popular activity tonight in the Porsches at the hairpin.
The other thing as well, as we have a look at where things sit, Benny Pedersen, Sam Muir still separated by a coat of varnish, and they're chasing Newen right now, who hasn't yet stopped. So Newen's going to drop down the order fairly considerably once you factor all this into the equation, because Pedersen and Muir, well, they've already transited lane. They've come out. They're the effective race leaders. They are the benchmark catchers if you can. What's interesting here is just how far behind the 8 ball everybody else is. Aidan Luthwaite's just come to pit lane right now. Here comes Muir. Muir dives to the inside at the end of the back straight, and Pedersen is willing to let him go. Very nicely done from Sam Muir. To the race lead effectively he goes. Bided his time, waited for his moment, but Pedersen's not resting on his laurels, not taking that lying down. Straight back down the inside of turn 1. Back to the front he goes. They're going to chop and change like this potentially for the next 10 laps. How fascinating this is going to be for the last 20 minutes.
So that all started at coming out of Le Mans. Ben Pedersen missed the apex just ever so slightly and got a bit of a slide on getting the traction down there. Invited Sam Muir down the inside of the Sunset Med, and then some great hostilities ensued for the following corners, but Pedersen comes out on top just.
Indeed he does. Lap traffic moves out the road. That's very well done. The other interesting point, and I was just scrolling through, I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers out there that are a lap down legitimately, but we haven't had a retirement since Jack Rogers on lap 3. So, yes, we had a lot of attrition early, but we've had none since. So that means that there's still 42 race cars out there on the circuit at the moment. It is a big racetrack. There's a lot of room to move. But still, to have 42 out there, hats off to all involved in the way in which they've kept themselves together tonight, as Vinny Nguyen now makes his way to pit lane, gets himself out of the traffic there as they make their way through. Pedersen in now what is 5th place, but we know that's the effective lead. Jake Jackson's come out behind them to the tune of 4.5 seconds after stopping on lap 18. We're on lap 20. Mesimo, Gomez, they can't be too far away from the lane. Campbell and Chapman as well. They're in. Right on cue. Have a look at that.
Campbell goes around.
Campbell goes on.
Then.
And oh, into the wall! Sean Rees. The second incident for a sharp EIT entry that we've seen so far tonight. And Pedersen sits there in 5th place, which will now become 3rd. Chapman goes again as well. So Campbell and Chapman to 21. Gomes and Mesimo to 20. Pedersen and Muir zigged in on lap 17 and have come back out as the effective race leaders by a sizable margin.
Gomes has jumped Mez as well in about almost 2 seconds past the pit stop for Gomez. And Jake Jackson has come out alongside both of them. It's on for third.
It is indeed. So that is going to be tantalisingly fascinating throughout the course of the last 9 laps too. Arnott and Oliver to pit lane now. So surely, I'm just scrolling down through the order here, surely the last pit stops are within sight. Yes. So Dave Oliver's on the lane, we know that. Campbell and Chapman will be next to pit lane, surely, and that will cleanse the field. Big gap between Campbell and Chapman, though, at this point.
I think that might be
hang on.
issues for Dave Oliver.
I think you're right. I just noticed the same thing. He pole vaulted down my order at a fair rate of knots. Sean Rees has been on the tow rope for 1:30 now, so that's probably his night done as well. And where exactly did Dave Oliver drop to? 24th he's come back out in. So nice to see that he's back out there on the racetrack at least. Campbell and Chapman, keep an eye on Campbell. He will be approaching pit lane any tick of the clock. This to complete the fuel stop phase of the race. Campbell is in. Chapman will likely follow. Keep your eyes then on Benny Pedersen. That's a strikingly good livery for Sam Chapman. Anything with that much yellow on the front of it is a winner in my book. Very nicely done. Well done, Chapper. Keep your eyes peeled, though, on Pedersen and Muir. And oh, wow. Chapman goes to 22. Tactically speaking, Daniel, and I ask you this because you were involved in a 4-car or 3-car McLaren fight the other night at Le Mans. Tactically speaking, if you're Sam Muir and Ben Pedersen, how are you approaching the final few phases of this race? If you're Sam Muir following Benny Pedersen now, how late do you want to leave your charge to have a lunge?
I think Le Mans is very different compared to here with the slipstreaming. I think here you just race. If you get the opportunity, you take it. Obviously, you don't want to go side by side too much, but you just monitor the gap in that case to these 4 behind. But to be honest, I think these 4 are more indulged in their own battle than trying to win the race at the moment.
So if you're just joining us on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube, you're watching the opening instalment of the Porsche Cup for the new season with thanks to Spreyton Cider. You've got Simon Mesimo there, with the best seat in the house at the moment, following Jake Jackson, following Mark Gomez. The fight for 4th outright and 4th in class is on. Oh, 3 wide again. They've done that far too many times for comfort tonight. There's no doubt about that. Mesimo. He stands to gain here if he can keep it in check and in order, because he's got the best view here. He can see what both the guys in front of him are doing. Gomes, on the other hand, can only look in the rearview mirror, and it's full of Jake Jackson. Jackson's got to have one eye in front and one eye behind and see what each of the opponents are up to.
Big slide there for Mez and got caught on the curb. But how good's the racing been in the front between these guys? Between Pedersen and Muir as well, but this battle for third has been on point the whole race so far.
Pedersen and Muir just skipped through at the bottom of your screen, folks. So you got the 1-9 entry of Muir in this fight and his teammate Jackson in the second fight. So keep your eyes peeled, folks. Sam Chapman goes again. Lap 23 of a stint for Chapo. Race winner in GT4 has had a relatively lonely run in the Porsche GT3 and has gone relatively unnoticed as a result of that as well. So, do you want to talk him through this, Daniel? The comment on the right-hand side of the screen there?
So, we got 3 class, well, technically 2, but in reality 3.
Oh, no! Big moment there. Race done for Jake Jackson as far as that fight for 4th outright was concerned.
Oh, trick fell wrong as well, just narrowly skipping by.
No holds barred by Chook. What's a yellow flag again?
So I'm gonna, let's look at this onboard Jake Jackson. He's caught the curb on the inside, he's pushed him wide, and he's lost it on the dirt.
No.
And
the only mistake he's made all night.
great avoidance from Mizomo, and I want to see this.
Straight through the smoke.
I don't think there was a lift there at all.
Nah. Eyes forward for Chook. He's 7th outright at the moment as a result of that. And a relatively lonely. I mean, he's 7 seconds behind Ryan Campbell. He's 4 seconds ahead of Aiden Luthwaite. Keep an eye on that too, by the way. Aiden Luthwaite, Jared Knight, only a quarter of a second separating them right now. Luthwaite under serious pressure from Jared Knight. Both of them have had a loop and spin tonight. Both of them are hoping to salvage whatever they can out of this race. For them to be back in the top 10, though, that's not too bad a recovery mission from them.
So to go back to the question before, the black and yellow numbers are our elite class, red and white are yet to be assigned, as I like to call it, and our yellow and white is our open class. Says here comes Muir.
At long last, chap out of pit lane, and Muir to the inside of Pedersen. Back to the race lead for Sammy Muir. Pedersen forces the issue and hangs tough around the outside. They've got a Whiskey Business Racing entry that's a lap down and out of the fight here with the best seat in the house right now. Watching these two scrap at it for the lead. Have a look at this. Pedersen holds sway for the moment on Muir.
He's wide at the apex.
It's not over yet.
He's wide at the apex. Muir's got to run here. He's going to have another look into the hairpin.
He'll have a chance too. He'll go up on the outside. Goes deep. Has the lunge. Can he hold it around the outside? No. Pedersen got across to cover it off. The exit is good, however, for Muir. But he's in the wrong area to be on the inside. Will he have a look? Pedersen wants to hang tough. Muir might have done enough to get across and cover him off. He has. Brilliantly done from Sam Muir, but this is far from done. Neither one of these two men can afford a mistake right now because of the difference between first and second, victory and defeat. They've got 4 seconds to play with over Simon Mesimo, but they not need worry about that right now. They need to worry about each other. It's been very clean. It's been exceptionally entertaining thus far. They will be 5 laps from home, the better part of 10 and a quarter minutes, ladies and gentlemen. So much action about to unfold here between two of the best in the business. Two men that have both equally pushed Matty Dench every step of the way, unsuccessfully albeit, in his quest for Porsche supremacy. Denchi, of course, 10 Porsche Cup titles, not on the grid this season. One of these two men have the chance to fend off the enormous amount of competition around them, but then find their way from being the bridesmaid to being the bride this time round and getting the job done in the Spreyton side of Porsche Cup. That's a lot of performances. They've been a pair of them.
Well, the exciting thing is that this is not practice, which is going to be able to spend on the inside and the outside of turn 1 now. But Muir now has the clean air and the track position, so can Pedersen come back at him? I don't know, something might have happened to Mark Gomes as well, because I'm pretty sure he was in front of Mizomo before the battle for the lead kicked off. So I don't know if something's happened to Gomes for Mizomo to get by there.
You've got to hit every marker, nail every breaking point, and apex right here. Cough once and kiss victory goodbye. Ryan Campbell gets by Gomez as well, so Gomez has dropped from 3rd to 5th, Mesimo to 3rd, Campbell to 4th. What a recovery that's been from Ryan Campbell after qualifying 11th on the grid. Ryan Campbell is 1.1 seconds off Mesimo at the moment. It's the difference between a podium and 4th. 4 teams in the top 4 at this point. And some of the best in the biz plying their trade on a Thursday night for the enjoyment of all and sundry. With only 8 minutes left on the clock, it's 4 laps at the line. And here's speaking of battles, Jared Knight and Aiden Luthwaite. Luthwaite holding on to 8th for dear life. Knight's right there giving him the hurry up. Knight, got the bonus point for the fastest lap of the race right now. Whether that changes or not, I'm not sure.
The impressive thing for me is that the trials and tribulations these two have gone through tonight, and they're surprisingly only one position down on where they started, and locked in combat once again as we're half a tenth apart for the lead, so I'm half keeping an eye on that as well. Here it is.
Down the main straight they go. Muir back to the inside and back to the lead once more. This is incredible stuff.
Oh, Pedersen's wide.
It's tight, it's tense, it's fierce. Pedersen bolted a little bit wide at 1. It's cost him half a second. Is that enough for Muir to skip away? Is that enough to relieve the tension and the pressure and not do so much rear view mirror driving?
I tell you what, the gap's at 3/4 of a second now, Zach. Like, Sam Muir can just focus on his marks. He doesn't need to worry about Ben Pedersen. We know how close they are in pace. So at the moment, Muir is in the box seat.
Indeed, but at the same time, you know what it's like. You're in a pressure cooker situation like this regularly at the front of the field, mate. Benny can't lose his head right now. He's got to just focus on running qualifying laps and not making a mistake and not let that last little bobble infuriate him to the point where he tries too hard and overdoes it.
Sounds like there's a cover off.
Yep, I've heard someone go around as well. And it's Stephen Crediton off the road at the moment. Sean Rees still on pit lane, has been for 12 minutes. There's retirement number 6 of the night. Rob Edwards remains out there in 41st. Remember, to be classified, you've got to be at 75%, ladies and gentlemen, which, in a 30-lap race, or 29-lap race is going to be, 22 is safe money, as far as being at 75% is concerned.
So Mazzomo pulling away from Campbell as well as in third. Campbell's dropped 1.7 back. It's definitely on for fourth though, because Campbell's got Gomes a tenth and a half behind.
Yeah, so you've got Campbell, Gomes fighting for fourth. You've got Luthwaite and Knight fighting for eighth. 3 distinct battles unfolding in the top 10 with 5.25 minutes to go, and now the elbows are out. Gomez is getting hustled and bustled out of it here potentially. Campbell to the inside goes to fourth and holds it. Gomes is still right there, and Mesimo has bolted. So Mesimo's got 2 seconds to the good here. Mesimo looks to have secured another podium for 9.5 Sim Sport this week. Opening week of Term 4. What a treat it's been. Although, to be fair, it might have been too good because it sets the standard. Pedersen right around the outside. Whoa! Big send from Pedersen, who's caught back to Muir. We were saying 3/4 of a second. It's a little bit of a buffer for Muir. Not enough. And Pedersen goes back to the lead. Extraordinary. It's interesting, isn't it? Mesimo's going to get another podium for 9.5. But what's going on here is the standard of the racing this opening week has been top shelf. It maybe puts a bit too much pressure on us and them to keep on delivering this quality for the rest of the season, because it's going to be hard to top.
So it was roles reversed at the hairpin versus 2 laps to go, with Pedersen on the outside and getting the traction off and getting the job done over Muir. But I tell you what, if these two come to blows, there's a 9.5 car 3 seconds back, and you see him pop into frame right about now. And Simon Mazzomo will be egging these two on like you wouldn't believe, so he can get into this battle.
And they've lost the Whiskey Business entry as well, who's been lapped now by Mesimo too. So it's interesting, isn't it? You've got 2 laps to go at the line. This will be an epic finish for the opening race of the Spreyton Cider Porsche Cup. And look at Muir giving Pedersen the hurry up down the main straight. Now the defence work starts. Pedersen will force Muir to the outside at 1. In fact, no, he comes across and covers him off. Holds it. Lights are on, sun is starting to set. What's the time, server time, please, Daniel? Can we have a look at that info? Right-hand side of the screen? Yeah, 6 o'clock in the evening, that's why. We are getting towards that sunset twilight period of the afternoon. No wonder the lights are on. Beautiful scenes here at the Sebring International Raceway. Off went Rain Campbell momentarily, and that's given Mark Gomez a little bit of a leg up. in their fight for fourth.
They've lost a lot of time. They're 7 seconds behind Mazomo now. I think that this is going to explain it. Is it going to be Gomes? Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So Gomes has gone for the send, and they've both been turned.
And that relieves any pressure that Simon Mesmo had on him. And it means that Mark Gomez had to redress. And now Chuk Fung Wong's only 2.1 seconds away from them. So how about this? Oof. Off now also for Adam Lord in 12th place. We'll get back to that in a moment. We need to focus on these two. They need to be careful, don't they, Daniel, before we get to the last lap? Oh! That's it! It's done! Muir's out of it! Muir's locked it up! Big drift work! Bogged it down! And Barry Patterson
Mizomo's going to get him.
has one hand on the race win, and Mesmo has got by Muir. Exactly what we're talking about! And Muir's locked it up again. The tyres are shot. The tyres are gone. Mesmo steals second. A lap and a half from home.
So
Muir drops to third.
I'm pretty sure Muir, he's the onboard going into tower. So this is where it all started. Has he gone deep? He's made the apex, but he's just understeered and then oversteered on the exit. And here comes Mazomo. He's got, I think that might be Russell Gander's in front of us. And now he's ended up on the inside of Muir through here, but with the lap car in front of him. Look, they're side by side with a lap car.
Yeah.
And now,
I'll tell you what, yeah. That might have been just a little bit of curb.
I think that's curb into understeer into the side of Mazomo.
So Mesmo's done well not to get caught up in all of that. White flag in the air, ladies and gentlemen. The last lap is upon us. We're on the way home. And I was just about to say, before that happened for Muir, not once but twice, how important it was for those guys to not take each other out, to think about the bigger picture, that this championship won't be won tonight, but it could certainly be lost, or you could certainly make put a lot more pressure on yourself for the balance of the season, even with 2 drop rounds, if something was to happen tonight to compromise the rest of your campaign. It didn't, and therefore, Benny Pedersen, well, he's been impressive throughout the course of the season. There's no doubt about that. In terms of what I say season, I mean 2024. Very impressive last term. You know, whenever you're losing championships but finishing on the podium and M. Dench is above you, you know you're doing something right, because he's the Dench mark for a reason. But in the absence of the Dench mark, we now get to anoint a new champion. And the championship leader at the end of the opening round is going to be this guy here, the 669 of Benny Pedersen. What a superb drive this has been. Withstood the pressure from second on the grid, led to turn 1, bowled it wide, didn't, let that unsettle him and unstable him for the rest of the night. Drove a beautiful race, then later withstood the pressure of Sam Muir. And only the tyres giving out on Muir is the difference in the end here. Magnificent stuff. Last turn, checkered flag, and Benny Pedersen starts the campaign with a win at the Sebring International Raceway. And that might have been a little bit of showmanship on the final corner, just to light it up and say, I'm here and I've done it. Oh no! Ryan Campbell's going to come through in 4th. Gomez had a lunge, missed out, and Chuk Fung Wong has bowled it wide and lost out to both Jake Jackson and Aiden Luthwaite on the line, and Jared Knight's right there as well. I think Fung Wong's out of fuel. So another sting in the tail as Knight salvages 8th. Luthwaite and Knight, despite all their trials and tribulations, finish exactly where they started. Chuk Fung Wong loses 6 positions to finish 9th, and Chavo gains 9 to finish in the top 10. Unbelievable.
Wow, what a race we've had in the Porsche. We were worried that they'd have to live up to the hype that the GT4s brought, and they certainly did that. Great drive by Ben Pedersen. Withheld the pressure from Muir. Muir made the mistake on the penultimate lap, and as a result, lost out second as well to Mazomo.
I might, yeah. Rod can hear the desk slamming. I love it. Hey, that is extraordinary, isn't it? Pedersen with the win. Massimo 7 positions gained, so to Campbell. 9 for Sam Chapman, 11 for Dean Hunt. The biggest mover of the night, however, Paul Woodsy Wood, who had that stroke of luck in GT4, goes up 22 spots to be the hard charger in Porsches. Conversely, Dane Snadden down 22 spots, but he wasn't even the biggest loser of the night. 26 got lost for one of only a handful of retirements tonight. There were only half a dozen of them, believe it or not. Sean Rees was 42nd, 43rd, Jack Rogers down 26, Kunj Patel, Ben Woods down 39, Brad Bradbury down 16, and David Christensen down 21. The tail of the tape there. 10 positions gained also for Tristan Koch, 11 for Dale Atkins, 14 for Dave Oliver and Fitzroy Beaumont as well. And Benny Pedersen lighting it up on the runoff area at the final corner. What a performance from him tonight to get it home and get his first W of the new campaign. Magnificent stuff. But I'll tell you what, if that if that is the standard for which we will witness and see these guys deliver on a Thursday night for the next 9 weeks, mate, I'm looking forward to turning up each and every one of them.
The interesting thing is obviously no Luke Swan tonight either. He missed the first round. So we add Luke Swan into the mix here as well. This is going to be such a good championship on a Thursday night.
I'm now actually waiting for Grant Gill to get back with my report card, considering that he's given you an A+ for your commentary debut with the GSRC. But we'll wait for that a little bit later on. I feel as though I get marks for ticking off your bingo card before we got to the end of the night.
Zach,
we'll wait and see.
So Grant, you were an A++ like 18 minutes into this race. Now,
we'll have a look at the results on the screen for you in just a moment, folks. The winner of the open split is Shannon Fever until Adam Lavis gets through and punches the numbers and assigns people to different divisions here. The winner of TBA will become an elite, which is Jake Jackson, of course. Thought it was Lee Diffie. Thank you, Grant. Not the first time I've heard that this week. And we've got Greg Heaney standing on by for the Whiskey Business post-race report. I could do with some whiskey, actually. I'll settle for Strepsils, though. I said to the boys in the intermission, I'm in a bit of trouble here because I've got 2 days of karting commentary to come up solo at the Manning Valley Kart Club this weekend. I was not expecting GT4 to give my voice box that much of a workout, all the vocal cords, and the Porsches lived up to the hype as well. We've got a fair few drivers jumping in to have a chat to us here post-race, Daniel, which is good because we were a little bit lonely after the GT4 show. I think Race Control's still going over the footage from that one.
It is good, and Mez is here, so I can throw him under a bus as well. So it's doubly good for me.
Well, because we normally get to the Whiskey Business Report a little bit later on in the piece, because it is whiskey, at 12 minutes past 10, why don't you lead us off? I'm going to throw you under the bus and say you can fire the first question to your teammate.
Well, I would fire him a question if he would unmute his microphone.
Are you there, Simon?
Which is a bit of an issue.
That's true. Oh, dear. Hey, what about that? There's the results on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody down to Barry Punter finished on the lead lap. Dane Snadden the lap down. So too Bobby Camo. So we'll get the report card from them via Greg Heaney very shortly. We've got Simon with us. Daniel, it's yours.
Mez, why didn't you win the race?
Oh, it would have been nice if my teammate was out there with me, but no, apparently he's hiding up here all night.
No, it's not my fault Luke didn't show up. Jeez.
I like it. It's spicy off the top.
Good drive, guys. Started with a good start. I saw you were up 3 by turn 1. Was that just a better start than the cars around?
Yeah, it definitely was, because to be quite honest, I still stuffed it. It lifted the clutch up a bit too early, so it bulked a little bit as I was sort of rolling. But yeah, it just so happened that everyone else around me got worse to start. So yeah, kind of set the tone, got a good start, and yeah, it was just sort of pick my way through the field from there.
And then great battle for third. Well, initially fourth, but became third between you, Mark Gomez. For a while there, Adam Haynes until he pitted early and undid, which led to the demise of his race. Ryan Campbell in there as well. was it really just not making a mistake in that battle? Because it seemed that you were the cleanest in terms of not making mistakes, and you came out on top as a result.
First stint, I made a few little stuff ups, but sort of cleaned myself up towards the end. But yeah, it seemed to being such a long race and around Sebring, my idea was I'll just sit back and look after the tyres and save a bit of fuel, because being such a long race around here, and it's really, I did a couple of officials during the week, and I was chewing the rear tyres up, so I was kind of like, all right, don't go too hard, because you know we're going to start burning our rears late in the race. And I still burn the rears up a little bit as the stint went on, but yeah, it was just sort of pick my way through, and yeah, a lot of it was just the guys around me making little mistakes, and like they weren't making big ones. It was just, you know, a lot of here and there, and just capitalising on that. And yeah, you did mention as well, a few guys pitted early. I was very confused about that, especially around here, pitting so early. But it worked out for a couple of them. But yeah, it's interesting strategies out there.
And you were one of the later ones to stop, Simon, to be fair. Lap 20, we were actually a little bit surprised as to how far you could go burning the tank. So they were a little bit more generous on the fuel limits this season, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, which was interesting, because I noticed Ben and Sam pitted, and I saw the lap cars in front, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense why they've pitted. They wanted to get out of the traffic, but they weren't too bad. And I was just like, nah, I'll just keep going, keep burning fuel out of it. The car sort of felt better as the fuel load came off it. It was sort of that mid stint. The car just wasn't as nice. As the fuel burn came off, it just got quicker and quicker. So I was like, oh, well, I'm not getting hindered too much. I'll just keep going. But yeah, so yeah, it probably had another lap in it, if that. But yeah, it's just sort of, yeah, there was a fair bit you could go on that tank.
Indeed. Daniel?
And last one from me, Mez, but the pedometer lap coming out of the tower, and you see a very slow-moving Sam Muir on the racetrack. Just what went through your head? Because obviously you guys ended up going side by side and into Le Mans, and then it looked like it was tight. Like it looked like he had a car width, and he just caught the curve and understeered into you, and that's why he went around. But what was going through your head?
I'll be perfectly honest, I'm not quite sure what happened. I wasn't sure if I touched Sam or if he just did it on his own. I was just more raging at the car in front. I'll be completely honest. I was annoyed at the lap car in front of us, because yeah, had a couple opportunities to sort of step aside when all that happened, and it bunched both of us up, so both of us were compromised heading into that there, so maybe that played a factor. I'll need to go back and have a look at the replay and see if there was contact, but I was like trying to give Sam room, and then there's a lap car in front of us as well, so that's kind of where my mind was. And then when I saw him spinning, it was just a bit of okay, righto, that's happened now. But yeah, that lap car sort of didn't help that situation at all.
Now, before Daniel jumps back in there, Simon, I want Daniel Koreasar, if you can, to bring the calendar back up on screen for the balance of the season to show everybody where we're going, when, why and how, and the formats within that, because there's a few sprint races to look forward to. There's obviously a few of these 40-minute races to look forward to as well, and 3 sprints at Phillip Island to see us out. What are your thoughts on that calendar on the screen there?
Look, that was the wrong button. I'm kind of waiting for it to pop up. There's one track we haven't gone to yet. Oh, there it is. Portimao is pretty good in these cars. Barber's really good in these cars. Virginia, that's going to be a wild race. Sachsenring is one track I have not done a race around yet, so I've still got to buy the track, so it'll be interesting when we get to that one. But I think VIR, Barber and Portimao are probably going to be my strong tracks. The rest, not so much. Like, I think I'm quite weak at Silverstone, and Phillip Island, and I've notoriously been bad there, so yeah, they're probably 3 tracks I can bet.
Just gonna let everybody know that we don't normally have that many sprint rounds. I'm just having a look in here. Daniel, I think it's round 9, the Sachsenring. I've got that listed as a 60-minute enduro. Everything else is checking out at the moment. So enduro into sprint racing next week from Monza. 40 minutes after that from Portimao, sprint racing from Barber. 40 minutes from Silverstone, sprint racing at Brands Hatch, which is notorious for action when we invert the top 10 there. Then we go to Virginia for a regular 40-minute affair, sprint racing from Circuit Zolder. A 60-minute race from the Saxon Ring, and then the super sprint from Phillip Island. Circuit Zolder will be interesting, but also more than that, the fact that we get to finish the season at the island, Simon, that'll be a cracker.
Yeah. It's always good to finish on an Australian track, especially with these series. But yeah, I'd like to finish somewhere else, but it is what it is. Like I said, Phillip Island is just one of those tracks I just don't think I've ever really got my head around. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, we'll see when we get there, where we sit.
Indeed. So, Daniel, sorry.
I'm just glad Mez agrees that VIR is actually goated, because it is.
One day I will convince you that Coda is also goated. But
Mate, you don't need to convince me. You don't need to convince me Coda's goated. I know Coda, well, maybe not goated, but it's
we're the only two that like Coda.
Preaching to the converted.
We're probably the only two people in the country that like Coda, so...
I'd have forgot that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Anyway, Zach, do you have any other questions?
No, I was going to say, Simon, what else are you applying your trade in this season, mate? When else are we going to see you on our platforms?
Probably this, mainly. I'm just focusing on the Porsche Cup at the moment. Depending how things play out, I might jump in one of the other ones. Got a night where I'm not doing much. I might do NASCAR, maybe. Yeah. But this is my sole focus at the moment. So yeah, I'll be just mainly doing all my time in this. So yeah, but you never know. That's a good thing. There's a lot of variety and stuff. I've been looking at the Mountain Men stuff, and there's a couple of cars that you've got coming up that I've already marked in my calendar. So. I'll keep it a secret for now, but you might see me pop up in a couple of those.
I know which one it is. I know.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, because I'll be there.
Of course,
too,
you know. I mean, you're in the inner sanctum. That's cheating. Simon, the other thing of note here is, I mean, with the exception of those last couple of laps with Sam, it was a relatively lonely run to the checkered flag after the pit stop for you.
Yeah, it was sort of. Benefited a little bit with what happened between sort of Mark and apologies, I can't remember who was also there as well. We were battling as well, but yeah, Mark sort of made a mistake which allowed me to get through, and then that was sort of the next lap he made a mistake. So once that gap opened up, I sort of felt a bit more confident that they didn't have the draft, and I felt I had the pace to be able to drive away. So yeah, it sort of, once I started pulling the gap out, I was like, okay, no worries, I'll keep my head down. And much to my surprise, I could see myself catching Sam and Ben. It was probably like only a couple of tenths a lap, but I was starting to catch him. So I was like, oh, well, best way to not get caught is to keep trying to chase the guys in front. So yeah, it'd be a little bit lonely, but yeah, I sort of could see the gap was closing a bit. So I just got my head down and tried to see if I could close the gap.
Very nicely done. Now, we'll leave it there with you, mate. We've got a few other drivers to have a chat to, and because I'm not at home, I'm more conscious of the fact that I'm running up towards 11 o'clock tonight, and I don't want to break the noise curfew in Old Bar. So thank you for that. Well done. Good luck for the weekend. Look forward to seeing you on the grid next Thursday night.
No worries. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Well done to Simon Mesmo. Hey, very nicely done. Paul Woods dropped into the house, but and before we get to Greg Heaney, we need to have a chat to the race winner because he's here as well, Daniel Benefield. Benny Pedersen. The absence of Matty Dench has opened up an opportunity at the top end of the summit, and it looks as though there's going to be a few different contenders fighting for it, mate. But what an awesome show you and Sam Muir put on tonight. It looks as though his wheels, his tyres, his rubber's given out in the closing stages, but that was a cracking scrap between you guys, and you've prevailed as the winner. Well done.
Zach's back, eh? Yeah, it's good to be back. I was actually in bed. I forgot this was on. I was just flicking through it as you do on your phone, and like, oh shit, the GSRC streams on. Oh,
that's it.
Up.
No,
I thought about it turn up, but no, it was a great little battle there with Sam. It's a shame. I don't know what happened to him. I just seemed to disappear. Did he hit the curb or the dirt or something? Did he?
quite a bit of dirt, and then, that was on the second incident, but the first one, it looks as though it was just a plume of tyre smoke that I saw, mate, so it looks as though his wheels had given out. How was the tyre wear from your standpoint? Let me ask you that.
The front were a bit squishy towards the end, but my problem was when I came out of pits, I lit them up, so my rears were cooked for a few laps after the pit stop. So I was having a bit of trouble there trying to keep the car on the track, but that's what you get for not practicing any pit stops whatsoever.
0.04 of a second was the pole margin between first and fourth. You must have been relieved to ease up some of the pressure coming from all and sundry behind you, mate. I mean, you were second to Sam on the grid. You guys, though, saw the opportunity to push one another along and bolt and leave everybody else to fight for the minors.
Mate, I'm going to come across like a little bit of a wanker because I just sort of turned up, but mate, I had a purple lap coming up on the last and then had to avoid traffic. I was about 0.4 up. So I reckon I had him.
Well, you did in the end. I mean, okay, you miss out on the point for pole, but hey, got the job done, and that's all that matters. And the onus on you guys, I mean, that was an incredibly clean race. Given the standard that's been set tonight by GT4, it wouldn't have been hard to be cleaner than that. But, and if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, go back and watch a replay of GT4 because, by gee, that was fantastic stuff. From a neutral standpoint, from a spectator standpoint, bloody frustrating for admin in race control and the drivers that competed in it. And we've got Paul Wood standing by. I can't wait to get his thoughts on that in a moment. But with regards to the way you guys approach that race, yes, we saw a little bit of positional changing. Yes, we saw a bit of squabbling there in the closing stages, mate. How mindful were you, though, of not, pushing it too far, knowing full well that the championship couldn't be won tonight, but you could certainly well and truly make a ride for your own back for the balance of the season if you guys came together and cocked it up?
Yeah, you're 100% right. I wasn't, really trying to be super aggressive. There was a few corners where I felt like I was a little bit quicker, and there was one or two that Sam looked like he was pulling away pretty good, but I had the draft out of those corners anyway. So I kind of felt like I didn't have to be too aggressive. There was always going to be an opportunity because it's such a heavy draft, this track. Like, it really is. So you can't ever pull away, ever.
No, that's right. I mean, that being said, there was a little moment for you very late in the race, though, and it gifted Sam about half a second on you. It meant the margin was about 0.7 of a second. You found a way to reel that back in.
Yeah, that was the only part of the race where my eyes were red.
Yes, very nice. Hey, you've seen the calendar up on screen here. What's your take on that for the season ahead, and how does this win set you up from a confidence standpoint, from a momentum standpoint, as you look to take Denchi's throne by virtue of the fact that he said, you know what, 10 Porsche championships is enough, everybody else can fight for it now?
Really? That's what
he's not here this term. No.
That's a little disappointing. No, look, the schedule looked pretty good. There's a couple of tracks in there, Portimao that I've never raced at, Sebring as well, I've never been to, but VIR is one of my favourites. Haven't done the Zolder alternate though. Was that the short course, is it?
Very good question, actually. Can anyone clarify what the alternate configuration of Zolder is? Because I've never seen it either.
I think the only difference is that it cuts the last chicane. It's like a left-right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a left hook before you get to the chicane. So yeah, it's just a faster chicane basically.
I'd like to point out that another good Porsche driver and another VIR enjoyer in our race winner tonight. I'd just like to point that out. I'm definitely not on the VIR hype train at all, by the way.
Actually, a bit of work for you, Mr. Benefield, actually. I love the fact that I've got a deputy, a co-commentator to work with now. I can delegate. The Porsche chat thread, Adam Lavis has just done some updating with regards to who's going from the TBC split into Open and Elite, respectively. If you can come back to me with a report card on that for the benefit of our audience, that would be fantastic, mate. In the meantime, let me finish with Benny Pedersen here. When else are we going to see you throughout the course of the week, mate, or is it going to be just the Porsches?
Just the Porsches, mate. I haven't had a lot of time as it is. Like, I've been on the sim for about 5 or 6 days. I did a few laps at Sebring. I think it was on Sunday, just a couple of test sessions. So I can only really focus on this, to be honest. So that's it, unfortunately.
I love that you were on the rig at Sebring on Sunday and still forgot about tonight. That's very nicely done. It goes to show that you're relaxed at least, Benny.
I'd planned to farm this week a little bit, but I never got around to it.
Nah, copy. Hey, well done again, mate. That was a fantastic performance. Hopefully all goes well for the balance of the term. I mean, you certainly have built something up very nicely here throughout the course of term 3, and you've carried that momentum and form into term 4. So go well, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Look forward to it.
Do you want to thank anyone on the way out, Benny?
Yeah, I better give a shout out to Full Sam Motorsports. They've been pretty supportive. I've actually got another sponsor coming on, Advan Performance as well. The team doesn't know about it yet, so there you go. There's the announcement.
There's your bomb drop. That's it.
Yeah, obviously just thank the family again because they let me do this without getting too shitty.
Very good. Excellent. Hey, well done, mate. Congratulations. Great start.
Cheers, boys. See yous.
All right, there he is, Benny Pedersen. We've got Sam Chapman in the house. We've got Greg Heaney in the house. But I'm going to go to Paul Wood first. Woodsy, good evening. Can we start with GT4 and just how lucky you were not to be collected by Sean Lindsell?
Yes, it's been an interesting evening all round for me tonight. It's a few cobwebs I've had to shake off there, but yeah, it was a bit of a pucker moment, but managed to survive at least. So yeah, got a bit lucky in that second race.
Indeed. The first race, though, I mean, you had to fight back a fair way through that field. The seas parted, people were coming together. It somewhat cleared out for you, and you just saw your way through rather cleanly. Woodsy avoided all the action around you. But what happened in the first race to leave you that far down the order to begin with?
Just struggling, couldn't get a good lap in the qualifying, so stuffed that up, and then just coming through, I made a bit of a blunder and clipped the rear of, and I can't remember who it was, someone there. So I just pulled over and redressed. I'm not sure exactly what had happened there, but yeah, watched it back, and it was. I thought the window was open there, but it wasn't, and closed very quickly. So yeah, that put me way back. So yeah, just had to fight back from there, and. So I thought, thought the evening was going to be a throwaway one, but the second race sort of started to come to me, and I started to feel a little more comfortable in the BMW. So, yeah, it was the first chance I'd had to drive it tonight. So both these cars, I haven't driven this Porsche in like 18 months, so I had a lot of cobwebs to blow out tonight, hence all the mistakes.
Yeah. However, talk about the Porsche. I mean, I'm looking at this timing screen in front of me here, and we're back in very familiar territory, Woodsy. You have the most positions gained in this race next to your name. Started 44th, finished 22nd, up 22 spots. 22 by 2 is 44, and 22 plus 22 is 44. All of it aligns beautifully in a mathematical sense.
It was written in the stars by the sounds of it.
Wasn't it?
But yeah, well, I'm waiting to see whether I actually still get the biggest mover, because I'm still in elite. Apparently, I'm nowhere near elite pace anymore. But yes, I'm up against the big boys in this one, so we'll see how it all pans out at the end. But yeah, it took me 38 odd laps to get used to this car. So at the end, I was finally starting to feel comfortable and not burning the tyres up and melting them. So. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Monza's going to be interesting next week in it, but yeah, I wasn't actually going to race this, but at the last minute I went, I'll come in, I'll do a couple of laps, and I thought it was going to be practice, and we'll see what happens. Next minute I'm in a race, and then I found out it was a 60-minute race, and felt like 90 minutes, and yeah, the rest is history. So a long night for me in the end, a lot longer than I was expecting.
Indeed. Long night for all of us, actually. I made the mistake in my own personal pit strategy during the course of the day. So the post-race pit stop can't come quick enough. If you can read between the lines there, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, Woodsy, what's on for you for the rest of the season, please?
I'm at this stage looking to do the radicals tomorrow night, but at the moment looks like GT3, GT4, Porsche and radicals this season. So.
And can I say as well, very nice to see you back on deck too. We know you'd been away at the end of last term. Nice to see you back on deck. and hopefully all is going okay at your end, mate. Well done. Great charge through the field tonight. Up into 22nd position. It'll be interesting to see what you bring to the table in the Radicals, in the GT3 and the GT4, and hopefully we'll see you for a cameo or two in the Porsches going forward, mate. Go well.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Can I just say as well, folks, I haven't seen the post-race report yet for the GT4. I can't wait to do so, but I would suggest that the results there are still provisional. Won't take anything away from Woodsy. That second is his from that second race. Very nicely done. Let's, at this point in time, bring in Sam Chapman. And Daniel, I'm going to let you lead this one, please.
Well, Chapo, it was a great run in GT4 and not great qualifying in the Cup Car, but still a good race result.
Yeah, no, pretty happy with the race result. It's the difficulty is when I come on and yap, it's pretty difficult to qualify at the same time. So yeah, I think there was probably still a little bit more time in qualifying. I haven't done a whole bunch of time in these cars either, so it was sort of a case to see how it goes. Massive field as well, so you know, while it was 20 odd in qualifying, it's you know, when there's 47 or 50 whatever cars on the grid, that's not too bad, all things considered. But yeah, good race. Just decided, as you know, as I said, it's not a car I've done a lot of time in, so decided to go down more of a fuel save path and just keep it smooth, keep it clean, and see where it got me.
We saw a few of the guys in front of you had some issues, so was it about keeping the nose clean? Obviously went for that fuel safe strategy, so I guess that would go hand in hand, really.
Yeah, it was about keeping it clean tonight. That's the thing. You just look out there. There's so many cars on grid, and clearly some quick guys out front. But you know, it's certainly not impossible for things to go wrong as Sebring, as Corey, my teammate, found. So yeah, it was just a case of keeping it clean, keeping an eye out of what's going on ahead. You know, we've only got, you're not really going to change tyres, so, and I don't really know how this tyre model sort of degrades, so I didn't really want to over push those until I sort of knew what was going on there. So yeah, keeping it clean was the main thing, and then just kept very consistent pace throughout it as well. So just to see where they get you. I was mostly in no man's land for most of it, really, and maybe if you pushed, you could get up to that next part, but you know, then I also wouldn't have had the fuel advantage.
While we're talking about your teammates, I'm not sure if you were in Discord with them at all, or if you're even aware, but how was the reception after Lachlan Frank ran into Corey Bennett?
Yeah, fairly frosty. It was something like that. Lockie's fairly new to the team, and actually wasn't in the Discord with us, so it was sort of a bit of a surprise when we saw him out there. But he's jumped in the Discord afterwards and apologised to Corey, so it's all good. It's all water under the bridge, but yeah, it was probably a bit frosty at the time.
I like how some teammates are very quick to sweep things under the bridge, but some of us around here are very good at holding a grudge. And a very good evening to the Queensland Government on that note, hopefully outgoing by the end of the month.
And a good evening to Chris Stark while we're at it on that front.
Very nice. Oh, I wasn't expecting you to go down that path, Chabo, but well done. Hey, let me, I know Daniel's got another question or two for you, but let me jump in here. A top 10 to complement the win in the GT4. Pretty good night out.
Yeah, no, pretty good night out. And, you know, it's always difficult doing double duties, especially on cars like this, and, you know, jumping in right at the start of quali and getting a few laps in and, you know, not having that back up. But, yeah, no, very happy with that. It's a tough field. These guys know what they're doing. So, you know, it'd be good to fight it. I want to do the full season this season, which I don't think I've ever done in the Porsches. So we'll see where it gets us. Yeah, it's quick guys out there, but great to see such a massive field once again. Still not quite as much as the NAS trucks last night, which was out of control, but I think we'll take 50.
Daniel?
I was actually going to finish up, Zach. So.
Oh, wait, okay, right. Yeah. Well, in that case then, Chabo, I mean, I asked you about GT4, but what do you like most about the Porsche calendar, please?
Can you get a cup for me? I'll have to have a gaze.
Come on, Chapo.
Oh, jeez. So,
Monza is next week. Monza is next week, and it's sprint racing.
Chapo,
That's going to be interesting. I'll probably talk to you in between on that one, so I can actually get a quallie in, so I don't die.
That's probably a good idea.
that's a good start. Yeah.
We'll see how we go. Let's have a look at the rest of them. So put them out, great. That'll be fun. Silverstone, interesting in these. Use up a bit of tyre, but should be quite good over 40 minutes. Brands, like quite tight circuit for these cars, especially with the big grid. But I'm a fan of Brands. I'm a massive fan of VIR. The new Zolder alternate, yeah, that should be quite good as well. Sebring's cool, but it's going to be interesting in these vehicles once again. And then PI, yeah, happy days. So it looks pretty good to me.
And by the way, on the way out, and this is not a criticism, this is just an observation, but it's more a case of it's already something we spoke about tonight. I agree with what Josh Zuno said, your microphone's shithouse. But they will hopefully sort that out for you as the season goes on.
Yeah, I need to go. It's always been shit, and I've gone through about 3 different microphones, so I've just got shit voice. It does sound garbage, given it's a standalone microphone with an amp. So I think I need to go to the Josh Zuno School of Audio Engineering.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is when we found out that Chapo hadn't actually switched his microphone in Windows settings, and it's actually been using the default microphone.
That's it.
Yeah, highly likely. It's probably the webcam on the other side of the room or something.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Brilliant. Some of your best work, Chapo, as per usual, mate. Hopefully you and Liam Banks have a cracker of a time on a Wednesday night throughout the course of this term. We know that we'll be encouraging everybody to tune in there for the NASCAR trucks and also the supercars. What's next for you, please?
Oh, it's 6 for me, so I can't make tomorrow, probably on Saturday, so I jump in the LMP2, so I couldn't make Monday, but I might be able to make Spa this Monday, and we'll see what happens in GT3s as well. We'll jump in here and there. I'm running the intro formula SFLs, or maybe SFLs full season. Was going to do trucks, but it looks like there's a few too many fellas in there to try and do an onboard broadcast. And then obviously these 2 tonight I'm planning on doing. So pretty big season ahead.
The turnout for the trucks last night was out the door. It was fantastic. And I only heard about it post fact because I was just getting myself set up here in Old Bar at the time. Now, the other thing too is, what are you hoping to achieve? I know you're going to be a championship contender potentially in GT4. And by the way, as I mentioned twice earlier, if that was a Formula V race, you would have found your way into the carnage, even from the invert pole. And we know that about you. You have a proven record there. However, what are you hoping to achieve in terms of where the goalposts are? What's a pass mark in terms of the outright championship result at the end of the term here?
Well, for GT4, I've had a couple of seconds. I'd love to take one win. You know, we'll see how we go over the course of the season. It was a bit wobbly tonight, and you know, with the change in the BOP, it'll, you know, it's a bit more difficult for the Porsche, but, you know, we'll see what happens in different tracks across the season. It looks like a pretty even field, which is really great to see. A similar thing in the supercars last night in the Super 2, so it looks like we could have a few open doors for the championships here, which is great to see. Absolutely. Then as far as the Porsches are concerned, it's I mean, I would love to try and get on the podium. It's probably a little bit of a stretch, given it's the first season really doing them. But, you know, if you run a clean, consistent season, we'll see where we get to.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Thank you. Club going from strength to strength at the moment. We know that you're a big part of all of that. Go well for the weekend. And by the way, I haven't had a chance to catch up with you since you're at the Sydney Cricket Ground for the Swans preliminary final. At least you picked a good game to go to rather than the granny. From a Swans standpoint, my goodness gracious me. I am still yet to locate. I'm not sure where Victorian Police are at the moment, but a missing persons report was lodged at about 3:30 yesterday, last Saturday afternoon, for 22 men dressed in red and white. I haven't seen them since. So, no, well done to Brisbane. They did a magnificent job, and good luck to Melbourne on Sunday night against Penrith in the grand final of the NRL. Chapo, thank you, mate.
Thank you, Daniels. Have a good night.
Just before you go, Chapo, I'd just like to say, though, that you're down on the pecking order for me now. You don't like VIR. I don't know.
Whoa. I said VIR was one of my favourite tracks.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said.
That's where I got my first GT4 win at VIR, so we never forget it.
Brilliant. Nice recovery from you, Chapo. An intentional under the bus throwing from Daniel Benefield in his first night in the booth. Hasn't he just slid into the booth with consumer ease? He's made himself right at home.
I think he's taking some pointers because every guy that walked into the booth last night, I was going, "Oh, what do you think of Willow Springs? Oh, it's crap. No, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Try again." Next time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I said it at the top, Willow Springs is underrated. It certainly proved it in GT4 tonight why it is underrated. It needs to be. In fact, if GT4 goes racing there every week, I don't care. I'm here for it. Especially if it dishes anything like what it did tonight up. Fantastic stuff. In fact, actually, to be fair, Grant Gill's already got his intro for GT4 for next season sorted, and we're only one round into the term. Fantastic. Well done, mate. Thank you. Let's move to Greg Heaney at this point for the Whiskey Business post-race report. And Gregory, good evening to you. Nice to have a chat with you for the first time this season. Talk us through your stable and how they fared tonight, please.
Yeah, good to be back. Evening. Yeah, I think from the outset we were doing okay. Not entirely sure what happened with Aiden. He was running inside the top 7, I believe, and I think he said he got spun. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but from what I can see, he looked to have finished well. Dane got tangled up as well, and then unfortunately copped a few too many incident points and a couple of drive-throughs and this, that and the other. Lockie was doing okay. I think he copped himself a drive-through, was flirting with 1X towards the end, and Bobby was doing all right as well. Myself, I was just happy to make it to the end, and I think I actually had the least amount of incident points between a lot of us. But I had some good battles there with Woodsy. Probably just got a little bit too happy on the accelerator trying to come out through the last corner, which was then shown again when you had Woodsy in and having a chat with him. That happened in the background of that. Had a really good 5-corner battle with Stephen Crediton from Sunset all the way through to, I think it was about turn 5 or 6 before the hairpin. 2x2 all the way through there, so that was good. But yeah, no, good to be back, and very happy to be back on track. So.
I was going to say, disappointing for Dane, for Aiden as well. I mean, we can talk about the success stories of tonight, but for some of these guys, that's one drop round burnt already, and a long way to go for the balance of the season. But it was always going to be tough out there. We know Sebring isn't everybody's best friend. We know that 60 minutes around here is a grind. We know that 47 cars is a lot to contend with as well.
Yeah, very much so. I haven't driven this car around this track myself. We did have Jackson in the session doing some practice laps, and he's just like, yeah, no, I'm not enjoying this. I'm going to be focusing more on GT3s. It's like, that's fine. So he jumped out. Aiden was just turning laps, and he's like, are we doing this? I was like, yeah, of course. So we did. He was doing okay, and then he just had a bit of got caught up with some stuff, and yeah, unfortunate, but these things happen.
Sorry, Greg, was Aiden involved in another incident? Because we saw the spin at the hairpin where it looked like he got caught on the curb and the curb spun him, but did he have another incident that we didn't see? Or was that the incident he was referring to?
I believe that's the incident he was referring to. He said in Discord, on our Discord, he said he got spun. I'm not entirely sure if he'd done it himself or if he got caught up with somebody, but I think that was the only one he actually had. Apart from that, he ran a pretty uneventful race, I think. I mean, obviously with a few little battles here and there, but yeah, as far as I know, he only had the one incident that would have been possibly caught on the broadcast, so.
Still a good recovery from him though. 7th place, 17 seconds off the lead. Yeah, so it's 17 seconds, but you include the time that he lost with the spin and having to come back through the field as well. Still a good result for Aiden.
Yeah, most definitely. He was hoping to take it up to 1M Dench, and then we've been informed by Dane that there was apparently some discussions had during the GT4 broadcast that it was either during the broadcast or during in race comms or whatever may have been mentioned that Matt wasn't going to be here for this one. So it kind of put a little bit of a dampener on Aiden's plans, but it's like, oh, that's all right. Take it up to Benny Pedersen. He's the next one in line, so we'll see how he goes.
Exactly. Still a really strong field at the front. We have obviously Benny Pedersen, Sam Muir, Rizzo. Maybe we got should have Luke Swan come back next week as well. So it's still really competitive at the front of this field.
Oh, look, to be honest, I think that, I mean, I'm in the open split, but even racing in that, it's competitive the whole way down. The cars are such an even playing field. If you cook your tyres, you're done for a couple of laps until you can cool them down again, and then you end up getting caught by the guys behind you and you just lose out to anything that's in front of you. I mean, at the end there, I was battling with very hot tyres on a cooling track, but it was still above 30 degrees. And I was just trying to cut the gap down to Callan ahead of me, but unfortunately couldn't get it in any closer than I ended up at the end. So,
Greg, how much time? Because I haven't had a chance to speak to you before now. How much time did you spend at the negotiation table over the course of the off-season, please?
not as much as you would think.
Oh, okay.
To be honest.
Oh, all right.
Although, I think some of the other guys might have.
Yes. No, you're right.
Definitely not looking at Twitchy Foot at all, right?
No.
Okay.
Twitchy Foot and Side Hustle Racing. I heard Mav mention on Monday that Side Hustle merged with Twitchy, so that's all cool. But I got a message from Timmy Watson on Monday. Before the GT3 started, saying, "Hey, one of my mates is coming back on. He's jumping back in. Do you mind if I send him an invite to join the team?" I was like, "Yeah, go right ahead." It turns out that it's Mr. Waste Options himself.
No. There we go. There's some bombs being dropped on a Thursday. Oh, brilliant. I love it. Hey, what's your thoughts on the calendar ahead, and what are your thoughts on what's coming up in the next 7 or so days across all the different categories, mate?
Look, very, very much looking forward to tomorrow night. That's going to be a heap of fun. Me and the boys did a couple of practice laps the other night with the radicals around Summit Point. It's going to be a very, very interesting race. I would not be surprised if some of those corners turn into spare car part departments, but we shall see. Definitely in for more GT3s on Monday. I'll have another crack at the SFLs this week coming. Silverstone in the wet, definitely not my strong suit. I had a go and it just wasn't clicking. Definitely in for more of the NAS trucks. That was too much fun last night. Even with the 60 cars that were on track, I didn't really bother me where I finished, to be honest. It was just make it to the end and try not to die. Though I think on lap 3, I think I was on somebody's bonnet.
Yep. And
then back for some more Porsches and more radicals, pretty much. But that news I gave you at the end of last season is in motion, so we shall see how that goes too.
Excellent. I look forward to it. I'm excited already. And so should the club be as well. Hey, Greg, anything else from you?
No, not really. I did hear Jackson made mention to me that you guys were checking out the livery for the McLaren being
very impressed by that. Very impressed by that.
I had a look at the stream, and obviously being Pro Split that was streamed, the fog was absolutely horrendous, so you don't actually see it all. It'll be better when you can actually see it in daylight as opposed to fog.
Yeah.
Because I did managed to skip through some of the stream and see where you guys were talking about it, because I heard yourself say that we'll check out the livery on the Whiskey business car, because I'd obviously spruiked it a bit. You couldn't actually see the colour change in it, so it's not purely dark blue. It is actually black through to blue, but you can't see it in the stream because of the fog. So, but no, it'll definitely look better when you see it in a clear weathered server. So, but
which I'll hopefully be on Monday night.
Well, yeah, he's hoping.
I can confirm, having had driven in that for an hour and a half, that it was not fun.
Certainly was not.
I had enough trouble in the Pro-Am split, and that was clear.
Yes, and that transition from night to day as well, very nicely done actually. Well done to Adam Laver setting up that server. That was a lot of fun on Monday night, and I won't let Daniel Vanderfield go without getting his thoughts on the next round of that championship either. But Greg, thank you, mate, appreciate that.
No worries. We'll catch anybody that's on tomorrow night. Being that tomorrow's Friday, I can hang around a bit later than jumping off about now. So. Catch you later, boys.
Have a good weekend, mate. Thank you for that. Go well. On the subject of tomorrow night, we'll have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms of the GSRC in just a moment. But before that, Daniel, magnificent to hear from you in the central commentary position here. Let me get thoughts from you on two things. One, your takeaways from tonight and what stood out for you and what you enjoyed, etc. and so forth. And then two, quickly, let's swap the microphone for the helmet and get your thoughts on Indianapolis for the next round of GT3, which we'll see you front and centre for on Monday night, 60 minutes around the Brickyard Road course, and no doubt looking to build on the solid result from Le Mans.
Well, let's start with the report of the new people of the TBA class.
Thank you, yes.
Jay Jackson, Dean Hunt, Adam Lord. Adam Jepson, and Vinny Nguyen, as well as Lachlan Frank, have all gone to Elite, which means Shannon Fever will win the Open class.
There you go, very good.
Colin Brown, Philip Fellow, Robert Edwards, and Martin Walker going to Open. So yeah, Shannon Fever, we weren't sure whether or not, but Shannon Fever does take the Open win tonight, 16th overall for 1-9 Racing. Very good job for Shannon. Overall tonight, the rest of the season has a lot to live up to on a Thursday night. Technically all three races were absolute barnstormers tonight.
Indeed they were. And from Le Mans to Indianapolis, I can't wait to see what you bring to the table there in the, what is the McLaren Cup with a few ring-ins?
Yeah, it's a very different track. I haven't done a few laps at the start of the season when Inter went there in week 1, I think it was, for the special event. But it's a very different track to Le Mans, obviously. It doesn't have 8 kilometers of Mulsanne straights to start off with. But naturally, it's going to be more of a conventional race. So Le Mans, we had a lot of fuel saving, a lot of trains, a lot of just ensuring you don't get slowdowns. Whereas I think Indy will be a more conventional race. We'll probably see the field string out a bit more, and we'll see if there's anything that can take it to the McLaren. I know we've got some quick mercs like Ferrain, Campbell and Connor Nixon. They're both in Mercs. I don't know who's in what car, to be honest, because there's so many McLarens.
That's true. And yeah, we won't worry too much about trying to work that one out just now. That'll become clearer as the season rolls on. Well done, mate. Go and get some sleep. It's nearly 11 o'clock. Thanks for that. Have a good weekend.
You too. Enjoy the New South Wales State titles.
I will. Beautiful Tari turning it on.
Since we're going to daylight savings from Sunday,
yes,
I should be able to hang around for the post-race show after GT3 after Monday, so I'll probably see you on Monday.
I look forward to that. Sorry, what part of the world are you in?
Very similar to yours.
that explains it why. Yes. I was going to say, certainly if you're in an Eastern Daylight Time zone, there's no way you'd be saying that.
I am very much going to be stuck on standard time.
You poor bastard. And I say that with the greatest respect to everybody in the alleged Sunshine State as well. You know, I was scrolling through Instagram here, and the leaders debate was on tonight for the upcoming election on Channel 9, and they had a headline on their Insta page. It said Stephen Miles wins coin toss, and according to some of the comments I've read since, it's about all he won tonight, which is good. Let's, on that note, thank Daniel Correa-Sar and Josh Zuno for their good work throughout the course of the evening. The picture-in-picture has come up a treat. It's been very well received. That's the work of Josh Zuno. Daniel Correa-Sar, of course, continuing to produce and direct the broadcast for us from his end. We do this with thanks to the great people scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now, ladies and gentlemen. Spreyton Cider, Waste Options, the great people at, of course, M-Wave Australia. I want to go in the same order that Daniel's got on the screen. Merch.GSRC.inc. Flash Graphics, that new logo of Johnny Simpson's fantastic, quite frankly. JJZ Constructions, and also our friends at Orbic Australia back on board for another term as well, because Adam Lavis and Daniel Correa-Sar have different slideshows, so they're in different order. So I want to make sure that I follow Daniel's order on a Thursday night and Adam's on a Monday night. Let's have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms for GSRC across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube as we wrap this one up for a Thursday night. Don't forget, tomorrow night the boys are on deck. Joe Baldwin, Nick Fodiatis with you, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 8:30 actually Eastern Standard Time this week, for 20 minutes for race 1, 30 minutes for race 2 of the full reverse grid. That one from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park as Downforce Legends returns to its roots with the Radical SR8. We take a couple of days off. After that, from a broadcast standpoint, Mountain Men gets you to the end of the year in Queensland. That will be tomorrow night, so Saturday night I should say. Porsche 911 Cup Legacy Cars from Mount Panorama, 32 laps, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Then the clocks change and it becomes confusing for a few people after that. So just remember, AEDT, clocks go forward in progressive and civilised parts, Sunday morning 2 a.m. So that's New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, the ACT and South Australia. 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time Monday night. We're with you for the LMP2 Challenge from the circuit to Spa-Francorchamps, 30 minutes there. 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Back that up with 60 minutes of GT3 Pro Racing from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course, 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Tuesday night, and the non-broadcast night of the week at the moment, Circuit de Navarra in Spain for introductory Formula first up in the Skip Barbers. 3-race program there from 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, immediately followed by a trip back here to Sebring for the Wings and Slicks Super Formula Lights. The boys at SRW still wanting a rematch too, by the way, after the Intercom Challenge recently. Well done, Sam Chapman. 40 minutes to journey there, 9:15 Eastern Daylight Time. Wednesday night, Orbic Australia NASCAR Trucks, Charlotte Motor Speedway, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Into the supercars from Phillip Island. That'll be a beauty. 40 minutes, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And check your local guides for that one. That is on broadcast. It'll be Liam Banks and Sam Chapman with you for that. Thursday night, the trio is back with you. It's the two Daniels and yours truly for a trip to Interlagos, which is always good. Great fun, but good luck topping tonight even with that for GT4 for 40 minutes, the first of the 40-minute races of the campaign, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. And then into a trip to Monza for sprint racing. Top 10 invert for the second race, 9 and 14 laps respectively. The journeys there, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the Monza round of the Porsche Cup with thanks to Spreyton Cider. We are looking forward to that one immensely. So that's it from us. We're done. Race.tgsrci.com if you want to get amongst the action, if you like what you've seen tonight and you want to be a part of it. Merch.tgsrci.com or gsrcmerch.myshopify.com takes you to the website where you can grab your piece of GSRC branded paraphernalia to show your support for the club that entertains you 4 nights a week throughout the course of Term 4 in 2024. And entertainment being the operative word tonight. By gee, we've had some fun in here. 60 minutes around Sebring didn't disappoint. I don't know why Nick Fodiatis to test this track. And of course, Willow Springs turned it on in ways we didn't see coming. Magnificent stuff in GT4. They'll be that set us up for the rest of the season there. There's a couple of rivalries that'll be brewing as a result of that. That'll be well worth watching. There'll be a few panel beaters kept in business for the balance of the year because of what we saw tonight night in California. That was good fun. So there it is, the slate as it stands for what's to come on the platforms of the GSRC. Quickly before we go, championship points have come through. Sam Chapman, 50, leads Sean Lindsell, 46, Nick Wood, 45, 43 for Dale Sharp, 42 for Adam Lavis. That's the top 5 in GT4. In Porsches, at the moment, that one is still a work in progress from Adam Lavis at this point, so I won't bother going through the pro split right now, but what I can tell you is that Shannon Fever, 91 leads, Glenn Arnott 84, Stephen Gallacher 73, Eduardo Zamora 67, and Fitzroy Beaumont 64 in the Open Cup. We've had great fun. We hope you have as well. The Sebring International Raceway turning on for Spreyton Cider Porsche Cup. GT4, a great addition to Thursday Night Motorsport on the back of having some Formula V, and also then, of course, LMP2. Great to have GT4 back on a broadcast that I'm involved in. Daniel Benefield's going to be a great addition to our little team here on a Thursday night throughout the course of the season as well. It's been great to work alongside him tonight. It's been great to have your company wherever you're tuning in all around Australia, or indeed the world across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Hopefully you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. Thanks so much for staying with us for the balance of the evening as we go past 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you're in Queensland, start winding the clocks back. You might get back to 1912 by Sunday morning at 2 a.m. Go out and enjoy what's left of the school holidays if you're in parts of the world where that still applies, and go out and enjoy the long weekend if you've got one of them coming up as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I echo what Daniel said. Good luck to everyone competing here in Taree as well for the Karting New South Wales Championships, and good luck to everyone competing in Real World Motorsport, because there's plenty on happening right around Australia this weekend. Enjoy the NRL Grand Final on Sunday night, and on the way out, I'm hoping she's still awake so I can go and have a chat to her after the piece. Thank you to my friend Talia, who I've been friends with dating back to the end of high school, ladies and gentlemen, so it's going back a while now considering I'm 34, because she let me take over her residence here tonight while she was at work to make sure that I could still broadcast whilst on assignment here. Nice to come and spend a couple of days catching up with her before the business end of my weekend trip to Taree starts. So I think all the thank yous are said and done. I hope you enjoyed it and look forward to your company. Tomorrow night is week 1 of term 4 wraps up with the Downforce legends, the Radicals, and then of course we reconvene on the back end of the long weekend, Monday night, 7:40 Eastern Daylight Time, to bring you the LMP2 challenge into Laced Options GT3. But for now, on behalf of Josh Zuno, Daniel Benefield, Daniel Perez-Sar, and the entire broadcast commentary and production team here, I'm Zach Caitman. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you Monday night. Until then, bye for now.